Alright guys, I think we are live. I actually had to have my little one set this up because I swear every time I come on here there is something different. So as my viewers know, last time I got a new laptop and I tried to set everything up, but apparently it didn't want to connect me to our video feed. So we just won't get to have any of the formal fancy settings that we normally do. But we're just going to cut right into it. If you guys haven't subscribed to my amazing channel that never has any technical difficulties, go ahead and do that now. Let me know, guys, if you can hear the sound okay. I see you guys have been so kind holding on. But drop me a note on YouTube and let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me okay, Jason?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So I feel bad for him. We had great graphics, stuff that he was going to be able to show. But you know what? We just got to go with the flow. So I will let you type your handles in the chat if you do have your YouTube open. Be able to do that. So just know, guys, I'm going to be a little extra ghetto tonight as far as the no fancy graphics and things like that. So, oh, perfect. Akira says she can hear. You guys know the drill. Please drop your city and state. Let me know where you are watching from. You know what I feel like? It feels like I'm driving blind. It feels like I'm in, like, the pilot, like the cockpit of a plane, and somebody put, like, a screen across the window, because I cannot, I can't do anything with my controls from over here. Anyway, I want you to introduce yourself, Jason. You can. Feel free to plug anything that you want to plug, and also let people know where they can hear more content from you, because after this episode, people are going to want to know. Before I let you answer, shout out to Houston, Texas. We got Monica in the house. Hey, girl. And we have Akira watching from Long Beach. So shout out to you guys. All right, so give them whatever you want to give them. Give as much or as little as you are comfortable sharing.
Well, my daddy named me Jason, but the world knows me as Barzini. Representing the Crossroads podcast, and that's XROSSROADZ. You can catch us on Instagram at the Crossroads. I'm an author, transformational strategist. That is my passion in training and development. I have a published book called Hello, Nice to Meet You, that you can find on Amazon. So grab that now. And by day, I try to guide the little minds of the world as an assistant principal. So imagine that as much as I stayed in the office. That's what pays the bills, mostly.
Perfect.
Yeah, when I get off work, I come on here and talk shit.
Hey, and it looks like your partner is already on here. So if you would like, they can go ahead and put any links in the comments as well. I will also do the formal one and put them in the description below, because of course it wouldn't be my show without some sort of thing I forgot to do. So I've been traveling, I've been living my best life, I've been vacationing, I done forgot all the rules and things like that, and didn't run tech. I just thought I could just slide in here.
I saw.
Man, what are we sipping on?
Oh, this is a little Jack.
It's a little H2O, because I gotta be in total control of my faculties right now. I gotta be on my toes with you. Okay.
Am I that bad?
I mean, no, but we'll just say it this way. You're so wise, I want to make sure I can keep up. I don't want to be on the short list.
Flattery will only get you everywhere.
Monica says I was living my best life. I really was. And this is the cool thing about being a content creator. Anywhere I go, I can be creating content. So I can technically be working. Yeah, it's not always fun with my friends. Like, really, we're shooting right now? Yes, we are. Because that's how I can be on this trip right now. Anyway, you guys, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so, because I'll be posting my vlog pretty soon talking about the drama coming back from Vegas. It involved a police officer. It involved, well, just subscribe, okay? It was a lot going on. All right, so make sure, partner, you drop the any of the handles that you would like, so that Jason can be hands-free. If you would like to do so, that'd be great. Okay, so let's get into it. I told you, before we came on, I said this isn't going to be super formal. Oh, Monica's saying hi. You were on with her last time. So you remember Monica.
What's going on, Monica?
Yes. So I had to have you back, and I had to have you one-on-one, because you and I, for 2 years, have have had these types of discussions about relationships and things like that. And as you mentioned before, I have come a long way since my online journey and people getting me together, because I used to have the princess syndrome.
Listen, I'm so proud of you.
So,
Your evolution is phenomenal.
I want to say, for those who don't know what the princess syndrome is, it is the kind of I'm the only person that matters. I wasn't that bad, but maybe a little bit.
You were. I'm sorry.
I'm the prize.
You know I'm gonna keep it.
I know. So, thank you so much for the handle for the social media. I appreciate that. Yeah, so basically what I want to do with my platform is to, in a non-argumentative way, in a non-judgmental way, really try to bridge the communication gap. Because a lot of times, I think when people are in it themselves and they try to have a conversation with the opposite sex, especially if they're already in a romantic situation, there tends to be a lot of defensiveness, or they might want to discount what they're saying because they might think the person's just biased or whatever. So, you and I have had a lot of conversations, and I feel that you are going to do a good job for speaking for a lot of the guys. So, guys, if you are watching, I see a lot of ladies today, but guys, if you're watching, let Jason know if he's hitting the nail on the head with the stuff that he's talking about, or let him know if he's just out there by himself. As always, if you guys are, I always say if you're watching, like there's some possibility that they're not watching, but they can hear me saying if you're watching. To those of you watching and haven't done so, please hit the like button so that YouTube knows this is the type of content that other people need to see. We try to get into real stuff. There's a bunch of junk out there, but I try to give some good content. All right, so let's just start off at the top. Let's start with the title. Having fun at dating. A lot of people say like, oh, the dating pool has pee in it, and it's terrible out there, and it's blah, 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 blah. I personally think that it's what you make it. So, what is your thought process as far as that mindset, and what just in general can people really stop or start doing to start making it fun? Because it should be fun in my opinion.
Wow. Yeah. So, getting right into, for me, it's getting rid of any and all templates. Because I think that's what makes it not fun. There's too many social stigmas and templates that exist that say men are supposed to do this, women are supposed to do that, and if he's not doing this, then it means that. If she's not doing this, then it means that. And we tend to do this and speak in absolutes when this occurs. And so there's so many people, and majority women, that are looking for answers, right? There's a $1 billion industry dedicated solely for the education of women in dating, right? You don't go to bookstores and see how to think like a woman, or like it's not really. I mean, I'm sure there's books that's talking to men, that's trying to explain women, but not very many. It's probably a corner of a corner.
I actually did a survey in my group, and the majority of men said no, we would not utilize any advice.
Because men tend to understand this truth is that we'll never understand you. And so it's like it's almost it's pointless trying to figure women out, right? Because it's just ebbs and flows. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that part of what can make dating fun is for a woman to start to know herself. Because I hear a lot of guys say, you don't even know yourself, but you're expecting me to know what to do. So I think that one of the first things that we as women can do is to really figure us out. Like, what do we like? Do we like aggressive? Do we like more laid back? Do we want, especially, in other areas, a little more grown areas, like start to know, because, I mean, he's going to do trial and error. And so you have to do trial and error as well to see what you like. So I think one of the first things to getting rid of the princess syndrome is not expecting a man to read your mind, because I really thought that if a man loved me, he would just.
Yeah, no, and I've told you on several occasions, like, we're not mind readers. And knowing yourself, and that's twofold. That's men and women alike. You have to, and I think a lot of people aren't being honest with themselves. You have to have an honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It's about knowing who you are. When you know who you are, when you're trying to date or go into a relationship, you know what you want, and it may not be a relationship that you're looking for. You know what I mean? It may be, I'm looking for someone to hang out with. I'm looking for whatever. And so that's when we start getting into the conflict when what someone wants doesn't match your narrative, And so then we try to psychoanalyze. And I mean, it was a post that I just saw a couple of days ago. Like, if a man says he doesn't want a relationship right now, what does it mean?
Right.
And it was just all over the place. Oh, it means he doesn't know himself, and he doesn't know. And I'm like, or quite possibly, just maybe, it means he doesn't want a relationship right now. Imagine that. Imagine him saying exactly what it is he wants, right? And I think it's a hard pill to swallow for a man that she actually wants.
Okay.
Now, if she doesn't want him, it's yeah, like I don't care. Like you never care about the dude that you don't want, right? It's almost like the thirsty versus the pursuer. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you want him, he's pursuing you, and if you know he's thirsty. So
it's either romantic or creepy. It's the same action, but it depends on if you want him or not.
Exactly. And so I just think knowing yourself, knowing what you want, being honest with yourself, and then having the courage to hear no, or having the courage to hear something that
what was that word?
you don't want to hear. Having the courage to hear no.
No.
Yeah, it exists.
Oh, that's a word. Okay,
Yeah, that's actually a word. Yeah.
N-O? Okay, I wasn't too familiar with it. Okay.
Yeah, just like that. But it takes a lot, because like I think our friends, everybody, is because people love us. They want us to feel like, oh, it's their loss, and they don't know what they're missing out on. Like, yeah, they do. That's why they let it go.
Right.
You know, they know exactly what they let go. They know exactly what they're missing out on. And if we can accept that we are not objectively desirable, like everybody ain't gonna, what you bring is not what everybody wants. You know, and if you can accept that, I think you'll fare a lot better. You know, because we have this need for everybody to want and to value what it is we bring, and that's just not reality.
So I want to add this part right now. I'm making notes because I don't forget anything. That's why I keep looking down. But I'm sure you've heard this. If a man turns a woman down, especially sexually, do you know what a lot of guys hear?
He's gay. Yeah.
You must be gay if you don't want all it is. Can we speak on that?
Listen. It's like, and that's the crazy part, because contrary to popular opinion, there are other parts of us other than, you know what I want to say, but I'm keeping PG for your platform, but you know how I do that. But yeah.
So the box is resistible sometimes, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Or guess what? I'm not fooling with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the type, if you piss me off, don't touch me. You know what I'm saying? Especially if we have an emotional connection.
Right.
If we don't have an emotional connection, we can
separate it, yeah.
Yeah. But if we're connected, like, nah. Like, because I'm out of accountability is a love language for my soul. It's like, sex is not an apology, it's not a gift, and you are not allowed to use that to fix the situation. You know what I mean? Even if I do engage, that's not going to absolve you from acknowledging.
Look, you come right back to it. So now we're done. What we're done.
Exactly. You know, I'm right back. You know what I mean? And I think that there's just a lot of people that get away with, oh, just because we had sex, it's over. Like, you shouldn't be mad anymore.
Right.
That's not how that works.
I think it's definitely used as a tool, and it's also used as a weapon. And I think that that's something where a lot of men need to wise up, where it just can't be. You know, it's been the status quo. Oh man, I guess I'm sleeping on the couch. And I don't think that, like, you're like, I wish she would.
I've never understood that grocery scrap door done that. Like, what? You're going to scoot your ass off.
Like, how does that even work? Right. Yeah. I don't feel like things should be one-sided. They should not be one-sided. I mean, there's certain things that are okay with being one-sided, which are more along the lines of gender duties, like men tend to be bigger, so I am going to kind of want him to pick up a heavy object or things like, you know, if I'm struggling. But other than that, I think that it should be even across the board. And a lot of times, you know, we'll see things like memes and things like that whole happy wife, happy life. If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. And I just think we need to get away from that. You know, we're in this day and age where we're supposed to have all this equality and things like that, but then there's a double standard where it's it's like if she's not cool, everybody else can just forget about it. So
I believe in happy spouse, happy house.
yeah, that's what it was. My bestie was like, "There's nothing that brought to the hubby," but I forgot about that one. Happy house, happy spouse, happy house. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's just real interesting because I was sharing with a friend and it was hard for her to accept when I said that men's happiness is not prioritized in relationships. You know.
Can we speak on that a little bit? Because I don't think that people really, when I say people, I mean my gender, really understand. This is your opportunity, Jason, to speak for all the men who wish they could be on camera. Okay, no pressure, but let them know the fight.
Well, okay, so when you listen to the cliches and the narratives that we have created, like you just alluded to, happy wife, happy life. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. From little boys, it's you don't hit girls. You're supposed to look out for them. You're supposed to, you know what I mean? And so even at your own expense and own detriment, you know, like girls are bigger than boys when you're a kid. But you're still taught, oh no, don't hit her because she's a girl. You know what I mean? And so that doesn't compute with kids, but it's still that thing. And so as you get older, we live in a very maternal society, right? Which is separate from when we're talking about patriarchy. Because we prioritize mom, right? Especially when we consider 70% of black family, you know, households are single mothers, I get it. So, but even in two-parent households, when the camera's on athletes, what do they hey mom, you know, Mother's Day is the biggest holiday.
I didn't even think about that. I don't think I've ever heard of hey dad.
Yeah, very seldom do you see hey dad. It's hey mom, you know. And as a matter of fact, Devontae Smith, who just won the Heisman Trophy, right? He was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and Shannon was like, "You about to get drafted, you might get a lot of money, you know, what's gonna be your first big purchase?" So he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy my dad a truck," and he was like, "Oh, what you gonna get your mom? I'm gonna buy mom a house."
Oh.
Right. Now I don't know the family dynamic, you know, I don't know the particulars, but you know, dad wants a truck, but I'm gonna get mom a house.
Now is dad gonna live in that house tomorrow?
No, I don't know. So, you know, I'm only speaking on like just
right.
the optics of it. There was another video that I saw. It was like a challenge. Mm-hmm. Like two parents were sitting and the kids were in the middle, and it was like the parents were in the opposite direction.
Oh yes.
Direction of the kid and the kids. They did it 3 times with the kids. Went after mom.
No.
Right. And so I think that connection with mom and everything else, but this is what we see growing up. Everything is around mom. Mom's happiness and what does mom need, and then dad, Father's Day, some macaroni art, a tie, plan day every year, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to dating, the narrative is you're supposed to pursue, and we even go as far as quoting scripture to support the narrative, right? You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to ask her out. You're supposed to plan the date. You're supposed to take her out, open the door, like all these things, right? There's a litany in this whole list of things that men are, and the operative word supposed to do, right? Because you're the guy, right? But when you flip the question out, we had this conversation, and I said, "What is her role?" Oh, I'm supposed to look pretty.
So let's get into that. What types of things are the equivalent of? Because at the beginning, this is what a lot of women say. Once he gets to this point, I'm then going to open up and give all these things, right? Relationship things. So what would be the equivalent of him asking her out, him paying for the date, aside from going Dutch, because obviously we know you can go Dutch or she could pay, but what kinds of things could the woman who is watching, who says, which by the way, y'all, I'm looking, and all y'all haven't hit like yet, so I'm gonna be like Kevin Samuels and pause the show for a second if I don't get these likes up. But what can a woman do? Let's just say a woman watches and goes, you know what, I never thought about it. I never realized that it's so one-sided when it comes to dating. What can she do that makes the guy feel like he's not getting the short end of the stick?
Participate.
How?
So participation can be, hey, why don't you plan something? Why don't you be involved in the planning? You can take him out on a date. It's like, make him feel, and this is things from because you often hear, oh, I'll do that when you hear women say, I don't have a problem with that, but only after a certain point.
Right.
They're always waiting for him to go first. And how much, and they say that, but the assumption is that when she decides to give, that it's going to be dope. And that's not, this is because when a dude takes you out, You know whether you like him or like what he does initially.
Right.
We don't get that luxury of deciding whether or not we like what you do because you don't do it out of the gate. We have to wait and do all these things, and we're out time, money, energy, and everything else, hoping that one day you're gonna reciprocate. And then when you do, it's like, I did all of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you come in at the beginning with mutual interest in doing those things that mutual interest does, now there's not any template of things, but get to know him the same way you want him to get to know you and ask little questions and give little hints and plan little things for you and do, show little gestures. Do the same thing from the jump, the
Right.
same way you expect. You know what I'm saying? So it's even in the workplace, we say, what, model what you expect, right? So you can't sit here testing him
Right.
and expecting him and see how he performs before you decide to reciprocate.
I've learned.
Because,
Oh no, please go ahead.
well, I'm saying because chances are he's not the only one that you're getting this from because you haven't chosen him exclusively. So there's a number of men trying to do the same thing. So you're boom, right? But the second you find out that any of those dudes are doing this for another woman, he's canceled. Yeah, you're next out the game because you're not focused on me. You know what I mean? And so it's a very selfish narrative that we don't look at as selfish because when you get called out on it, oh, well, we got together, we just dating, right? So, or
Well,
you just talking, or you're trying to get to know.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. So, for a lot of women, they know that they get emotionally attached. And so the reason why they are not exclusively seeing one person before he's made this proclamation is because they're worried they can't control their emotions and they're going to get hooked on one guy. Therefore, they'll keep their roster. Not because they like the other guys, but because they don't want to get locked in emotionally on one guy. The guy, on the other hand, tends to have just not figured out which one he wants. So what do you say to the woman who has that mindset that she doesn't want, she wants him to be focused on her because that means that he's made a decision and he wants to actually get to know her, but she's trying to keep herself from getting attacked. What do you say to that woman? Because it is a double standard, but the guys tend to be the ones that want to have the relationship or not. The girl can like him all she wants, but until he says, yes, I want a relationship, the girl's just kind of...
Well, that's on both sides. It's not, you can't have just any guy say, hey, I want a relationship, and then she just says, okay, like she has to oblige because there's plenty of guys who are pursuing a woman that likes her, and she's trying to decide whether or not she wants him, and whether she says so. That's got to be mutual. As far as her trying to protect herself, look, this is part of the game. You know what I mean? And there's double standards on both sides: high risk, high reward. So you can't expect something that you're not willing to give, and then hide behind being a woman. You know what I mean? Because how many things can we hide behind and say because we're guys? Because that's the thing when we talk about things like societal norms or when we start getting into toxic masculinity and blah blah blah. What's the excuse that people hate the most? Oh, boys will be boys, right? So if it's not valid for us when we exhibit typical man behavior, you can't. I'm a same energy type dude, so I can't speak for what you experience, but nor will I allow you to use that as an excuse. If you're expecting my focus, I require the same, right?
So here's the dilemma, though. We do have, I don't know if you believe in masculine energy and feminine energy, and there being certain things that are innate and opposites attracting. I've learned a lot more this year about the two energies. I feel that men are, because some people say, well, this is just traditional or not, but I think it's something innate. I think that a lot of men typically are wanting to be the ones that they're aggressors. And I think that women often want to be pursued, like just genetically. That's how they're wired. And so I wonder if a woman were to be quote unquote aggressive and say, hey, let me get your number. Hey, let me take you out. Hey, let me hit you up on the phone and be the initiator. You don't think there are some guys that are kind of like, yo, chill, like that's not attractive?
No, that depends on what and how it's done, right? But that's with anybody because just like women say they want to be pursued, if a man is too aggressive, you're still taken aback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one, as far as like men wanting to be pursued, no, that's one, it's not true. This is something that we've been conditioned to believe, and because we say, oh, men are natural hunters, no, we're not because because if that were the case, all men would hunt.
So,
And yet the complaint about women are, oh, men aren't pursuing anymore. So then what happens to natural hunters then? Like if men are natural hunters, then the complaint that men aren't pursuing wouldn't be an argument, right? Men are not monoliths. And we're only monolithic when it's convenient for you, right? When you want to be pursued, men are all hunters. When we expect something from you, all men aren't the same.
so why is it that people, it's not just women, why are people so horrified when they see those videos and those memes of women dropping down on one knee and proposing? If we're not created this way, if we're totally the same as genders, why is it so horrifying? I wish my woman would drop down on her knee. That's what the guys say.
Because that's a societal norm that we've created. And so what I do saying that that's the machismo, pick me type dude. Like everybody, like traditional is cool, right? Until it's no longer convenient.
Okay.
And so if we look, because I'm a literal and logical, right?
Yeah,
so
let's get into it.
On the proposal thing, women propose far more than men.
What?
Right? Yeah. But here's why. You see, and I love the reaction because it's a provocative statement. What is a proposal?
Asking the person to marry them, spend the rest of their life with them.
No. Just I'm talking about proposal in general. What is a proposal?
Just offering something to consider.
It's a suggestion for whatever action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Typically brings up marriage more.
For women.
That is a what? I am proposing that we get married. This is what we should do. Where are we going? What are we doing? I'm not going to be dating for da-da-da-da-da.
But she might not say... But she might not... I get what you're saying, but I'm saying...
She's saying, will you marry me? She is introducing the proposal of marriage between the two.
I think she is trying to see where his head is and bringing up the topic.
Are we going to do this right now? You know good and well.
I'm just saying, but I don't know...
How many ultimatums have been given? Like,
no, I will give you ultimatums. When you said ultimatum, no argument on that. That I agree with 100%. I do think there are some women though who innocently are, because I've done that before, like, man, because sometimes guys seem like they're moving fast. I'm like, man, how soon would you want to get engaged? And I wasn't bringing it up to try to initiate, but when you said ultimatum, 100%. So he technically did it, but she hounded him till he did it. So I will give
when men get down on one knee and say the words, will you marry me? They are typically agreeing to a proposal she has made a long time ago. Because the average man, or most men, are not going to ask that if they don't already know it's a guaranteed yes. And why do they know it's a guaranteed yes? Because she's been talking about it for, you know what I'm saying? And it kills me when she acts so surprised. Like, hey, you've been hounding me for 6 years. What you talking about?
She just didn't know it was going to be on that Saturday.
Yeah.
What is it like from a man's perspective to be just getting to know the person? She's cool, you're vibing, and then here comes the marriage question. Is that something that just seems like an innocent, oh, I just want to see where your head is at? By the way, Chavez said you spit in air. Is that like an annoying thing? Is that a turn off? Or is that like okay, she's wondering about the future?
You know what, that depends on vibe. It depends on the person, right? So if you feel it somebody, you might be like, you know what I mean? And it depends on where you are in your life, age, maturity, career, like what do you want?
Yeah.
So the 20-something-year-old would respond much different than the 40-something-year-old.
Okay.
Actually, no, not that much different. To be honest, like it's you know, because for me, I'm just very careful. You know what I mean? I'm careful who I give my time to. I'm in no rush because I want it to be right.
Right.
And so I might entertain it a little bit more and give it some thought more so. But I'm far more stringent that what I'm looking at. You can't just be fine. You gotta be fine because physicality is super important. But I gotta look at everything else. Like how do you think? How do you move? What are your goals?
Right.
Where are you trying to go? How do you fit in with mine? You know what I mean? Are you along for this ride, or you like? How do we think the same financially, spiritually, emotionally, sexually? Like, are we on the same page in all these very important areas?
Right.
And it's just very important to understand where someone is going, understand their triggers and traumas, where they've been, like how they want to interact. What is your how do we fare transactionally? That means what does our day to day look like? Are you somebody that's domestic? Do you know how to cook? You know what I mean? Is it something that you love to do, or is it laborious for you? You know, or are you somebody that's going to just be ordering all the time? You know, like those things matter. You know, because some dudes might be cool with all you just order right. I don't care. But some dudes, like for me, I love a woman who cooks. I love a woman who loves to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because now it's not a chore. That's she in there having fun. You know what I mean?
And you gotta do it every day.
And I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, and for me, I'm not an everyday. I'm like, hey, 3 times a week because then there's leftovers, so that can fill up the week. You know, and we might go out once a week.
Yeah.
Whatever. But so it all depends, right? So the same for women. Women kind of want to know like what kind of doer. You know, are you a workaholic? Are you somebody that has balance for home and work life?
Right.
Are you a handyman? Are you somebody that just pays somebody to do everything? Are you like all these type of different things? Are you somebody like how do you operate when you get upset? Are you someone who yells? Or are you someone who shuts down? Are you someone who can communicate effectively? Or are you somebody who points the finger? Are you someone who's accountable? Are you somebody who withdraws? And there's a whole lot of you know what I mean. And I don't think that you truly know someone until you see them pissed off.
Amen, brother. I would say.
So,
you know what pisses me off? There are 5 people who haven't hit the like button, but they're hanging out. So we're gonna you gotta hit that like button, you guys, and hit share if there are any people who would like to watch this that you think would enjoy live, because that means you can ask questions while Barzini is on. So hit that like button. You can't be over here like this, caught up in the sauce, lost in the sauce. They say hit that like button, okay, so I can start harping on it. So this works. Kevin started doing that, and I'm gonna copy him on that. I want to ask this question because you're talking about all the different things that you would want to see. I think that with guys, they usually have patience because most guys are chomping at the bit to get married. So they are really weighing out their options. They are really seeing if there's compatibility. They're going through all these things. I want to see her through all these different seasons of her life. One of the seasons being angry, Would you say in your experience, have you found that there are women who clearly are more into the idea of you, aka the relationship, versus actually you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And this is gonna sound very arrogant, but I'm just being honest. I check off a lot of boxes on the surface. I check off a lot of surface boxes, right? Tall. I'm 6'2".
Tall, right? Dark, and I'm just kidding.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
Like tall as in, I'm dark skinned. That's in. I have a really, really great relationship with my father.
You got facial hair.
This is new.
It is
I'm always got the goatee thing, but I'm trying to,
Yes. But no, you have your relationship with your father, yeah.
Yeah. So
you don't have kids.
With my brother, so showing affection between men, those things. So it's like all of these extrinsic things. Educated, I have a few degrees. Gainfully employed, I have a great job. So all of these things are just things that are my life, but that says nothing to my character.
Right.
And so it's like,
woo.
All right. So the idea of, he's got a good job. You know who his daddy is. It's all like, all you thinking about what your kids might look like.
Yep.
Or,
you don't have 6 baby mamas.
Right. I've never been married. I don't have biological children.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not coming with a whole lot of baggage. We all have baggage, but I'm not coming with past things.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so that's attractive to a lot of women. Until I start holding women accountable. So to get these conversations, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I'm not one of these old hey queen dudes like nah. It's like, what do you bring? You know what I mean? If you have expectations of me, cool. I have no problem meeting them. But
how can you tell if a woman is more excited about possibly having a man and then later a husband than actually, oh my God, she likes Jason?
women like that don't listen. You know, she's not really listening to you. And you can tell by how she responds to things you say, things you probably said before. And it's like, that just, the conversations are typically about what she wants, what she deserves, what you're supposed to do. Because she's got this template of her life, and he's trying to figure out if she's going to fit in right there and move forward with. And it's like, hey, he'll work, right? And that has nothing to do with you as the individual. That's just, oh, he'll do. Now I need you to follow this plan that I made long before I met you. And if you don't, you're an F-boy, you playing games, you wasting her time, you a commitment foe, you a boy, you all these things, right? And she hasn't thought about, like, what have you brought? You often hear women say, I know what I bring to the table, and my response is, oh, what did you actually bring in? Like, you knowing what you bring to the table and him knowing what you bring to the table are two very different things.
Or are they things that you even want? Like, a lot of women will lead with, I have this degree and I have this income and all this stuff, and they've never stopped to say, is that what he wants? You might be bringing sand to the beach. It's not that he doesn't care or that he's patronizing. It might already be there at the beach,
right,
in high quantities.
Yeah. Now, being an educated woman is sexy. However, it's like, is that degree in culinary arts? Because that does nothing for my palate.
Not is that in culinary arts. That's good. That's good. Your master's in soul food.
There was one woman that listed all her degrees, and I was like,
right.
You hang all them sons of bitches over the stove while you thinking like,
you're gonna get crucified. You're gonna get crucified for that. Let's really unpack this, okay? Because a lot of people are gonna probably say, oh my God, that's chauvinistic or whatever, blah blah blah. But the thing is that it's all about your target market. And I said this, in other videos, where if you're saying you want this, you have to know what they want. So like that saying, you don't bring sand to the beach, you don't try to sell ice to Eskimos. A lot of times, forget the gender, the person just isn't even thinking about the other person. They're going in it so much, what do I want, what do I want, what do I want, which is good. You should know what you want, so you don't settle. But are you looking to see what that person wants? Or even to see if it's something that you can realistically give. What they're asking for, you might not want. And I got into this with the gentleman I did my last video with, Jay Barnett. But I was saying that there are a lot of women who don't enjoy intercourse. I'm using my words because, little ears. There are women who don't enjoy that. And so they will use it as a means to an end. Like I said at the beginning, it's a tool. But then when it's time to do it, they're never initiating, which is making the man feel a little bit insecure and unwanted. Or she's not, into it when it's happening. And, he feels like, God, am I bothering you? Type of a thing. So I think that as women, because we're pressured so much. Oh, I meant to shout out Sai. Hey, girl. Thanks for tuning in. Because women are so just not brainwashed, but we're so programmed to be wives, I think we don't look at that. And it makes us as a whole a little bit more desperate than a guy versus a guy who the pressure is to have a career. And so therefore, he can at his leisure say, now I want to settle down. And you guys don't have as much of a biological clock ticking thing. Like, yes, you could say, I want to be young with my kids. I don't want to be 60 and, having a 2-year-old. But for the most part, you can choose to just marry someone who's younger or fertile. So what would you say as far as, I guess, what would be your thing you want to say to women just to kind of think about when she's first meeting that guy? And, because we kind of autopilot, just go into looking at what are we going to get from him.
One, I would say women are not pressured to be wives, they're pressured to be married. It's very different. So, I think...
Snap, Jason.
Huh?
I said, snap, Jason.
But it's a very real thing, right? Because a right, to codify why men are supposed to pursue, right? We misquote the Bible, so most people are talking about Proverbs 18:22. He that finds a wife finds a good thing. And in Christianity, a lot of things we try to do is imply something intrinsically that wasn't extrinsically or explicitly stated, right? Things are implicit. So this is how it breaks down. And I'm positive you've heard this. Oh, it says he that finds. That means he's supposed to be looking, which means I'm supposed to be found. Right, first of all, knock it off. Number one, that is not God talking, and that book, that is Solomon speaking to young men, right? And there is one verse. Finds and wife has two contexts, right? In there, to find could be to seek or to discover, right? If I'm in the parking lot and I find $20, was I looking for it or did I discover it, right? He that finds $20 finds a good thing, though, right? Cool. So we take that context and we like to put the seek connotation on it. No, finds. Now let's talk about wife. If I just found you, if we're using the seek connotation and I find you, how could you be my wife if I just found you? Right? No. So, but it was very specific about wife. If you find or discover a wife, that means wife is not title because we are not married. That means it's mindset. You are a wife when I found you.
I was gonna say yes. I've seen a video breaking that down. Be a wife before he meets you. Yeah.
So basically, it's saying he who finds a woman worth marrying.
Right.
That's cool. That's good shit.
I would agree with that.
Right. So
he who stumbles across a woman worth marrying. But
what we do is, just because that specific scripture was talking to men specifically, does not mean that women are part of that process. That just means at that moment, in that particular amount of time, we're talking to men. That's
okay, well, what do you say about, let's take, is it Jacob? Was it Jacob? I think it was Abraham. Maybe it was Isaac. And Abraham wanted him to have, his father wanted him to have a wife from a certain place, like from his own people, and he sent the servant, right, and sent the servant specifically, but she was just minding her business. She was just spilling, giving the cattle, or whoever camels, I don't know. I need to go back on the scripture, but she was feeding the livestock. She was giving water to the livestock. So she was just minding her business. She wasn't on Hinge. She wasn't swiping left. She was minding her business.
Does that mean all men are supposed to? Because there was an instance where a man pursued a woman. That means.
But I'm saying I don't see a lot of examples in the scripture where the woman is like, "Yo."
There's an entire book on it. Ruth.
One person out of all the examples.
No, an entire book of the Bible.
But it's only Ruth that is mentioned that does it.
And you brought up one example of Isaac.
But okay, let me think. So I know Cain went out into the world.
Exceptions, though. But see, so the thing is, you're trying to fit a narrative and trying to use examples to fit a specific narrative when there are examples, whether there's 1 or 100, there are examples of both. Period. Right? There's an entire book that's showing a woman pursuing a man. And we even misinterpret that scripture because how many women here, I'm waiting for my Boaz. How are you waiting for a Boaz when Ruth clearly pursued dude? And her mother-in-law was in on it.
She
specifically
put herself in a position to be discovered. She put herself in a position to discover like the $20 in the parking lot.
Do you know what that position was? In his bed, in her best dress, with her best perfume. That's the position. And it even states he didn't even know who she was. He said, "Who were you?" And she had to explain who she. What are we talking about here? To your credit, there is no better position to be discovered than in a man's bed.
I'm done with you. I believe it was at the foot of his bed. I have to look that up.
His bed, nonetheless.
I
don't care where she is. You wake up. Listen, if I wake up out of my sleep and there's a woman that is there that wasn't there when I went to sleep.
You better first of all get your paperwork together because there might be a lawsuit.
Hold up, we got other things to talk about first. But since you're here, you know what I'm saying?
I'm so done with you.
But it's real spit though.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that we should Someone's mom was out on that balcony for a reason. Hey, Anthony over here helping you. Let's see, she was fine whilst feeding that livestock. Yes, she was. She was fine. Let's see. So, okay, so you feel that everything should be completely the same. You feel like women should call men and ask them out and ask them to marry them and pay for dates. You feel like it should be like completely.
I think it should. I'm not talking equality. I'm talking equity, right? I don't need you to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to do what I like. We're different, right? So, as two different people, we're going to enjoy different things. All men are different. So, there's another dude that is going to like different things that I like, and then another dude and another dude. So, it's not about men should do this and men should do this. It means know the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And stop trying to operate in templates of saying because you're the guy you should do this and because you're the woman you should do this. Find out what Barzini likes, find out what Yonci likes, and do those things because all women are not the same.
Yeah.
Right? And so things you might love flowers, but the next woman's like, don't you buy any flowers, you can get a meal. Like, boom, what you talking about? You know.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of flowers.
Right. And so when it's convenient, we go different narratives. So it's kind of like we want to be very broad in the initial stages, and then as it condenses, then we want to get nuanced when we start talking about love languages. So you pursued me, but you can't pursue me like every other woman because my love language is now different because I'm not like those other women. But I thought because I was a guy, I was supposed to do this. Yes, but not like that, and not this. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that you should get to know your person, yes, and I think you should know what they like. However, I don't think I'll ever change from wanting the man to be the pursuer. Like, for me...
But what does that do? What does that say, or what does that prove that he pursued? What does that mean?
I think it's a...
From effort.
No, I think biologically, at least the men that I encounter, they feel better when they're the ones doing it. And also, this is the other thing. I feel that if you were to take 10 women and you were to take 10 men, the likelihood that... Or 10 single women, 10 single men. The likelihood is that more of the single women would be in a position where they're open to dating. And if you take the 10 single men, it's not going to be the same number. Men tend to, at different points in their life, based on their economic status, based on just sowing their wild oats or doing whatever, they're not all in the same position to want to get married. So because of that, it just seems like it behooves a woman to just fall back and let a man choose. Because if he's initiating, that means he knows that he's in a position that he might actually get what he's going after. But if he doesn't actually want her, then, because I think that a lot of men are flattered.
It's really a numbers game, to be honest.
I don't disagree that it's a numbers game, but what I'm saying is that if a man pursues a woman, I think there's a higher chance that she, in general, not saying she's going to want him, but she's in general going to be more open to wanting marriage. Versus if a woman pursues a man, there's a very low probability that he's interested in getting married. I do it in my group all the time.
But that's just simply not true because here's the thing: how many women do we pursue to find one that likes us? We get rejected far more than we get accepted.
Don't make that right now, please.
So it's like when you consider how many times. And I was telling Andrea this, my partner on the Crossroads, when she was dating, because she's engaged now. But I was like, why don't you say something to him? You know what I mean? And she was like, I was like, when you consider how many times we've been rejected, you'll never know that. So like say, if you and I try to date and you accept me, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many women didn't want me before I got to you.
But I think that I feel like when women initiate, there are so many men who don't know how to say no. Oftentimes, because it's so rare, they're just like, oh my God, they're just so flattered that
they have a higher success rate.
No, it's not success though. He doesn't say no, but he doesn't actually want you. So then you have these guys who are just loitering around, and they don't really want anything, but they don't want to hurt the woman's feelings by saying no.
How is that different than us though?
Because I think that women say no.
No, some say no, then some say yes, and then she really doesn't want you. Hence them free meals that she's getting and all the other but she's also dating why she's dating you. We've covered that earlier in the show. Like, just because. So
you're saying there are women who hang on for fraudulent reasons? Is that what you're saying, Jason? And not every woman who says yes to dinner is just into you?
Yes. Right. So, listen. But that's the thing. Even if you get a woman to say yes, right? Now you go through the gauntlet of being tested, and then you go through the mindset. Does she really want me? This whole show and prove thing, because this is the template you go by, right? We said earlier how women, he has to do these things for a certain amount of time before she decides that she's going to start to give. We don't know what that is, because she has to say, okay, you have 90 days to do all these things before I start to reciprocate in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We don't know that. We're like, is it time yet? We don't. Right?
Well, what do you guys want? I've yet to hear, because we could literally list off quickly. We could say, we want you to initiate asking us out. We want you to make the first moves in the call. We want you to open our door. We want you to get us flowers. We want you to...
I told you though, like...
But that's all the same things that guys do.
Call us, do those same gestures that you do, the same things that you're expecting.
But what about the women who are feminine and don't want that? What about the women who feel like it's going against their natural order of things? There's nothing outside of taking him out on a date and calling him. There's nothing that the woman can do.
So why does there have to be something outside of that if that's what I'm saying we want?
I don't know that the guys want that. Guys weigh in, because we have guys here, even though 5 of them refuse to hit the like button. Okay, maybe those five people can't answer because they haven't hit the like button. But
right, but here's the thing. Now I get for the show's sake, yeah, you want the guys, but why does it need validation that you have a man here saying this? It's like, I'm not just taking that one. We need more. We need more information.
Okay, let me get this straight. So the only thing that a woman can reciprocate is paying for a date.
No.
Initiating the date.
Learn him.
Okay.
They are individuals. Find out what he likes and do them the same way you expect him to do that for you. Even if it's going out, like, if you say, hey, I don't like seafood, and he says, I'm going to take you out to eat, and he takes you to a seafood restaurant, was he paying attention to you? No. So pay attention.
But again, that's you taking him out.
But, no, I'm not even talking about going. I'm saying find out. He could like, hey, I love text messages in the morning. I love a woman who fixes a meal for me. Like, if my meals weren't cooked, I like someone who wants to go walk. I want, like, plan something for us to do.
Okay, so then I would say this then, to your point. Do your research, ladies, with the intent of showing him your interest. And so find out. And that might be as simple as just asking him about himself. No. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is find out his interest so that by doing things for him, you're showing him your interest. So if you find out that he really likes text in the morning, start doing text in the morning because that's a demonstration that you're interested in because you're willing to speak his language. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. So I think it's twofold on both sides, right? Both we should be mutually finding out what our interests are, and do them, right? As much as naturally as possible. But also it's strictly in defining the interest. I'm going to show my interest, but I'm also going to find out theirs.
Yeah.
And help each other do that. But mainly for the women, I would say this: do it from the gate. Don't wait. So because at the end of the day, we create these templates and these sayings and these cliches and these scriptures, and the only thing at the end of the day that people are trying to do is not get played and not get hurt. That's it. That's all it boils down to. It's not about who's supposed to pursue it, feminine energy. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. If you knew 100% at the end of this would not get hurt and you have success, you would do it for the job.
What would you do? And it's so true. I did a live on that, just talking about how I said, are we open to love? Like, really open to love? Because we do a lot of things that sabotage us in the hopes of not getting played. But at the end of the day, there's a chance you can get played. And so I feel like either hold back or give it all. In the hold back scenario, you might actually lose the person you would have gotten if he was a good person. And then if you give it all, it's a 50-50. You might give it all and it not be the right person. To me, as long as you don't give something you can't afford to not give, like maybe sex for the example, for some people that's too much. Or maybe the guy is not taking her to 5-star restaurants because that's just, he would be too upset if he did that. But as far as emotions go, that's the thing I want people to walk away with the most. Stop trying to have these facades like, oh, I don't care, I'm unbothered, whatever. Let them know. Like, if I'm talking to you, Jason, like, I really missed you. Like, open up and say that, because that might be the one thing that gives you that click of like, oh, okay, she is feeling me. I couldn't really tell if she was feeling me or not. It could have been that I was busy and I would talk to you all day.
Right, and that's the tough part, because when you put yourself out, especially whoever puts themselves out there first, that's tough. And I think that's when we talk about safe spaces, right? And those can have a like happen. So for me, I say certain things like, she might say something like, "Oh, that's," I was like, "Oh, this is no judgment zone."
Right.
I want you to feel safe to express yourself, even if it's something that's uncomfortable, and maybe it's something that I'm not getting reciprocated as far as.
Yeah.
What I do, I want to know that it's also safe, right? Because it's tough to fall if there's no one to catch you. And I think men and women are like, that's what we're scared of. And I really don't jump into memes. There's so many memes that I be like, that's just stupid. But there was one that I saw and I was like, okay, that's actually dope. And I actually talked through it with my therapist. And it said, we're not afraid of new love, we're afraid of old pain.
Ooh.
You see what I mean? And so it's like, we spend more time trying to not re-experience our traumas, and not have our triggers going off. So we set all these fail states in place so that they can never get to that point to do that. And I just think we lose. And I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
Like, my logic is also a defense mechanism. You know what I mean? And a subconscious defense mechanism
right.
That, But at the same time, it's you still want to be careful because no one wants to be hurt. But love is a gamble. Period.
Yeah. I just feel like you cannot protect all your angles. Like, you can't hedge all of your bets. And I think that you have to use intuition. You have to, the older that I get, I'm kind of just like more balls to the wall, as they say. Like, I'm just going to act.
Intuition can fail you too. Like, intuition is BS, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking spiritually, listen to the spirit or investigate some things, but sometimes you're wrong and it's not intuition or it's not the spirit. We think, oh, I feel this or that. Like, okay,
go ahead.
I get a story. I was dating someone and she calls and was like, I think we should talk anymore. I think we should hang out anymore. And I'm like, well, why? And she told me that she saw this woman on social media is always commenting, and she feels like she likes me, and that makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't want to feel like that. And I'm like, well, and she told me the name of the person, and I was like, she doesn't like me. And she was like, yes, she does. I'm a woman. I know when a woman likes a man. Like, we sense it. So the whole intuition woman thing, and I was like, sweetheart, that's my first cousin. So I was like,
does she live in the South though, Jason? Just kidding. I said, does your cousin live in the South?
No, my cousin did, but she didn't. Yeah, so
I'm saying, but it matters if the cousin lives in the South. I'm just saying, maybe she likes her cousin.
Intuition is failing.
I don't know. I feel like with every single guy I've dated seriously, I have picked up on things within the first couple of encounters, and they usually ended up always being the thing that I ended up ending.
Okay, so let me challenge you on something. Because we talked about energies, right? Do we agree that we manifest our thoughts?
I knew this was coming.
You know it because we see when we're talking professionally in life, you have to manifest the positive thoughts and you have to think it and see it, But when it's something that's negative, we never want to accept that we have manifested that thing in our life with our thoughts.
I'll give you an example because I think it's that we pick up on things. So I'll give you two examples actually. So one guy, total mama's boy. I started picking up on things, and I noticed that he didn't really have a backbone. And he would, like, we could have plans, and mommy and daddy could call him at the 11th hour and say, oh, I need you to come move this box. He would literally be like, oh, I need to reschedule. And, like, he was a grown man with his own house, and for whatever reason couldn't be like, Mom, I have plans, so is there another day? Or, God forbid, don't answer the phone if you see who it is and you have plans. So that was something that I saw, and it ended up being an issue. I was like, I have a feeling this is going to be an issue, and it was. The other one was I noticed that there was like weird energy when a woman kept calling, and he had claimed it was his ex, and they had been broken up for all these months and all this stuff. Come to find out, she's freaking living in the house with him. So, you know, I don't think I manifested those situations. I think I picked up on things, and then.
Well, those two examples, one, that was an observation. It wasn't intuition. You saw it.
But he didn't do anything that was like, in the case of the woman, he took.
Well, what I mean is, you saw something he was doing.
Right.
You didn't like it when you saw it. You said this is going to be an issue. Yes, it's going to be an issue because it's already something you don't like, and you keep like, yeah, that's an issue.
You're talking about like there's nothing tangible and you just feel that's what you're talking
about.
Okay.
Now the other one, no, that may not be something that you manifest, but that's also observation and over time. It's almost like when people think, oh, it was intuition. If you pick up the phone and see this woman's text message, I think you're sleeping with her when the text message is literally saying, "Damn, the sex was bomb last night." Yeah, that's not intuition. You didn't. If you wait long enough, certain things are going to present themselves. And so, no, it's not always manifestation, but it's not always intuition. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the spirit can talk to us. It's like, I have a funny feeling about that. Usually we get funny feelings about things we're observing and we start paying more attention. That is our reticular activating system that we're all born with. It's not a feminine or masculine thing. It's a human thing. We pick up on things. It's like, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't mean that it is what it is. You know what I mean? But sometimes it is. It's called life. But if we go around thinking, oh, my intuition is always right, really, because I'm somebody, if you keep accusing me of something, I far be it from me to want to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you right, because you're going to treat me like that thing that you can't think of. And it's insecurity, right? And so we want to hide insecurity with intuition. No, you're insecure. You know what I mean? And insecurity is a ravenous beast, period, and it can never be satisfied. For instance, I had an ex that used to look through my phone, right? And no matter how many times she didn't find something, it was, I didn't find something this time. And then that one time,
well, because you deleted it. Yeah.
Right. I knew it. I knew it all along. But you checked it 100 times. And this one thing you find, and if you look, you're going to find, but what you find ain't always what you think you found. Right? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, the men and women are like, ain't on some bullshit. You're right. There's play that's going on. You know what I mean? But I don't think that that's an intuition thing or always a manifestation thing. It's a people thing. You have to vet people carefully. You know what I mean? And so it just sometimes it happens. You pick somebody that turned out and they wasn't right. And when you find out they wasn't right, you gotta act accordingly.
Yeah.
You know. But to hide behind, oh, I do it, I'm good at these things. You're good at all these things except the relationship because you keep picking up for some reason.
Dang. Okay, I want to switch gears really quick. You said something on the last live stream that, you know, was pretty good. For those who didn't see it, somebody was saying that, man, you know, men don't really communicate, or there was something else, and you gave the reason why. You were saying that there is a very particular reason that men are very much in tune with their emotions and they're able to communicate. They don't because of. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, or they don't listen. We don't feel heard, is what I said.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't feel heard, or the minute you start to talk,
they bring up their experience.
Let's get into that.
Yeah, ladies don't do that because it's like talking to that friend that always one-ups you. You know, you take your experience and go, well, that ain't nothing, and it's a deflection because men by and large feel that women have trouble so when we say, hey, men experience this, like for instance, like when I said men's happiness is not prioritized, the friend that I said it to immediately, well, that's because historically women blah 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 and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what does that have to do with men not feeling prioritized? You know, or their happiness feeling prioritized today? Even if what you're saying is true, then the reason it doesn't change the fact that men don't feel or our happiness is not prioritized. And so, countless examples, and when you start talking about your experience when men are expressing how they feel, you're invalidating what he's saying. And the reality is, when you're doing the same, when you're talking about how you feel, you don't want to be dismissed. You want him to hear you. You want him to validate your feelings. You don't want him to try to solve your problems. You just want him to hear and empathize, you know, or sympathize, or whatever the action is that you need in that moment, because it can be different or whatever. We're not void of that same desire or expectation or need. We need you to hear us and act accordingly. And the minute that you don't listen to us or act adversely or start bringing up your experience, we start to shut down. And then you start thinking, we don't know, we've communicated. So when men, we're not really built to try something and it fails and we keep trying the same thing. No, oh, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm trying it again.
Yeah.
Cool. So when I communicate that thing to you and you react adversely, then you just show me I can't talk to you about that.
And Liz was saying, so how do you let a man know that we're a safe place if they're already holding back? So maybe he hasn't even tried. Maybe he hasn't gone there. And so is there something that she can do, or, you know, she's asking on behalf of women, I'm sure. Is there something that women can do to kind of let a man know, hey, I want to hear your thoughts? I'm assuming ask questions, maybe. At least initiate, and then if he does start to respond, like you said, listen, and apply what he actually says, and not just in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, it's like you need to. It could be if he's holding back the things that he is safe communicating with you. How do you react to those things?
Mm-hmm.
Are you listening, or are you criticizing? Are you being supportive, or are you trying to fix or tell him where he went wrong? And you know, all those things that you hate. Like, pay attention, because we certainly do.
You just said something strong. You said the things that you like. I think sometimes we forget, like, just do unto others as you would have them do unto.
Yeah, you want to be heard, and you want those words. You want to speak those words, and if I had to characterize it, you want to take those words and you want them to, like, you know, like, oh, okay, I'm a whole be safe, because, and this is why it's actually more powerful for men, because communication is to men what sex is to men.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
So the question that he was asking, if he's holding back, what's her name?
Liz.
Ask the question.
Liz.
So Liz, I want you to ask yourself, in a sexual context, if you are holding back, ask yourself why. And the answer to that is, if you're holding back sexually, I'm not saying that you're not having sex, I'm saying you're holding back. There's things that you can do, and then what you're holding back, it's because you're not comfortable and you don't trust him yet, or you don't trust him anymore, right? When men complain that women aren't doing things that he wants sexually, it's because she does not trust him, she's not comfortable with him, she's not comfortable with the situation, whatever it is. Because women need to know that, one, you're not going to have me out there in the streets looking dumb, telling everybody what you did, you ain't showing them pictures, and that's why a lot of women don't want to send pictures or videos, because she fears you're going to share these things.
Similar to a man, I was going to say, not wanting to say something and then find out it's being repeated in the streets.
Right, so for men, communication is, we have to feel safe and we have to feel comfortable, so that you don't use the things that we say against us, to shame us, to call us weak, sensitive, a bitch, all these things that occur. Because remember, women are cultured to protect their body, which is why, what's the last thing that you talk about giving up? Your body, sex. That's the thing you make men work for, right? Sex. What do men make women work for? Our heart, our emotions, our thoughts, right? That's what you want. So when you get with somebody and you trust them, there's a paradigm shift, right? He ready to talk about his emotions, so she ready to be a 3-hole hoe for him. You know what I mean?
And sometimes it's just time. sometimes it's not that the man didn't do something to make us comfortable, but just enough time hasn't gone by to
Well, that's
build.
what comes with time is comfort. Like, what do you need time for? You need to know, like, to be certain, and that certainty is comfort.
Yeah.
And so the same way we need that trust. So, and then watch this. Like, even when you break up, women are more likely to go sleep with the man that she's already been with. Like, you could be talking to a dude you don't like him, and guess what? You'll still sleep with an ex. And the excuse was, well, no, I don't want to sleep with him because I like him. Like what? And that makes sense to y'all. But what do we do? Right? We can be talking to somebody, but we don't open up. We don't come to you and talk about, like, hey, remember that one time I was talking about how my mom used to blah 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 blah. Because you know already. You're already comfortable. We're comfortable with you emotionally. We can't be giving our heart all, women fall in and out of like all the time. Oh girl, I like him, girl, no, I like him. He's like when he drink water. Oh girl, I like him, no, I don't like him. He run the fork on his teeth when he eat. Girl, I like him, no, I don't like him. He ain't got no car. Girl, I like him, no, I don't like him. His breath stink. Whatever, every little thing, you don't like him no more. But your heart, you're here's my heart, look, give it back. Here's my heart, look, give it back. Here's my heart, give it back. Right? What do men do? We do that with our body. And it's nothing like, it's like, oh, I like it, but it ain't nothing for y'all. For us, oh, yeah, we have sex, but it ain't nothing. You feel me? So it's like, we express ourselves physically, you express yourself emotionally. It doesn't mean that you don't have that physical component. You don't lead with it, though. It's not that we don't have that emotional component. We don't lead with it. We're protecting that. And so when we get in relationships and cheating occurs, right? Or whatever interaction outside of the relationship, women are more likely to forgive physical cheating. Men are more likely to forgive emotional cheating, right? So, because what's the first question men ask if you was dealing with another dude?
But you love him?
No. Did you sleep with him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we want to know why. And why do you want to know that? Because you have given away what you made me work for. You made me work for that. You just gave it to him. But what do women ask? Do you love her? Like, if we go, nah, man, it was just sex.
Right.
Sex. It was strictly physical.
Matter of fact, she was ugly.
If we can convince you that, I'm not saying every woman, but if we can convince you that there's a
it's less offensive, yeah.
That she can, okay, she don't mean nothing. He was just using you because we was having problems, whatever.
Right.
But if we love her, it's not the sex that's gonna break her. It's the conversations at 2 in the morning when we sneaking around the corner and talking to her at 2 in the morning. That's what's gonna break her.
Right.
It's gonna be the things you find that she knows intimate parts of our relationship. That's what's gonna break you. The things that I shared with her that I was like, I can't even tell her that because this is what I feel, and she knows things that I feel deep down that you don't even know. That's what's gonna break you. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, men, because we're visual and you tell us that you slept with him, we probably won't say this, but we do want to know, was he better? You know what I'm saying?
I know, okay.
No, because that's part of our makeup. Like, dang, I'm not pleasing you. It's not big enough. It's not big enough.
Because men want to provide. Yeah.
Right. So it's like when you take away that you know what I mean, from us, it's like somebody else is hacking. Somebody else is hacking. And it's like, are you doing things with him that you're not doing with me? Or are you doing the same things with him that you was doing with me? Like, I can't touch you no more. Like, nah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you was doing the tour. You did the hurricane. You gave him the hurricane. Like,
you stupid. Chavez thought what he wanted to cash at me for all the knowledge you're dropping.
You can at the crossroads.
Man.
But
no, I want to ask you a question. So women, we all, compare notes. So let's say you get a guy's number and they're talking or whatever, and women tend to say the same thing, like, or he's boring, or he's inconsistent, whatever, or he's always just trying to have a sexual conversation. Is there something that you hear consistently that your boys say when they talk to women? So she might be good looking. There's nothing wrong with the chemistry. She's there. But when it comes to conversation, specific on the phones, people tend to talk on the phone before they get to in person. What would you say, is there something that you hear a lot that you could at least give a gem to the women to be like, ladies, if you're going to talk to a guy, at least, or please don't.
Be interesting. It's like talking to women nowadays can be like, it's like you're a dentist. Because the same way, it's like pulling teeth.
I thought you were gonna say because when they're that thing in their mouth, they're not talking, they're just listening.
Well, yeah, it's like you're waiting for. I get women want men to like, come on, throw us a bone, clear the path. You know what I mean? It's like you can't purposely make things different. Maybe it's not even on purpose. It's just how you are. But when you're the only one's like engage,
or if it's like one word answers,
right? It's like if I say, "How was your day?" Fine. Oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Can we do some role playing, Jason?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna.
Wait, let me guess. I'm the one contacting you. I'm texting you for her, calling you for her.
Duh. So let's do the dry conversation first, and then we'll do the engaging conversation. Okay.
So, phone rings. Hey, Yonci, how you doing?
Hi, who's this? I'm just playing. Which guy?
Let me respond like, oh, for real? You don't know who this is?
I'm just kidding. No, that'd be too much personality. Hi, Jason.
Yeah. So what's up? How you doing? How was your day?
Oh, it was good. Busy.
Just good. Like, why was it busy? What was going on?
I just had a lot of deadlines to meet today.
Okay. I mean, so what do you do?
I'm actually a librarian.
A librarian? So what? You got deadlines as a librarian?
Yeah, so when they put the books in the cart, I have to hit the deadlines of when to put them back. So the history books, they have to go back by 10. Encyclopedias will be back by 12. It's a lot.
Okay. So how long have you been a librarian? Like
2 years.
2 years. You like it?
It's okay.
So I mean, what do you want to do? Like ultimately, like what's your
I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it a lot. Would you say this is accurate, or is that too dramatic?
Yeah, no, that's.
And the person thinks I'm being nice. I'm answering all his questions, whatever.
And this is why I text, because I need to stop.
All right, so let's do a more engaging conversation, okay?
All right. So phone rings. Hey, what's going on, Yonci? How you doing?
Oh, hey, Jason. I was hoping you called today.
Oh, shit. You excited? I like that excitement.
I
You
don't
happy to
know.
talk to me today?
I'm not gonna lie. I saw your little story on IG and I was feeling away.
Oh, but wait, what you feeling?
I mean,
don't tell the truth.
Why you put me on the spot? I just,
It's just me and you.
You were looking good at the beach, okay?
It's a no judgment. It's all telling you.
You were looking good at the beach. Had your shirt off. Whatever. Okay. Take a little compliment. I'm just saying. It looked like you put some oil on. I don't know, but you being a little thirsty out there.
Flattery issue everywhere. So listen, I welcome all compliments.
Well, how was your day? Obviously it was the beach, but how was it? Did you go by yourself?
You know what? It was actually real cool. I got a chance to unwind. Work has been super crazy, so I just went meditated a little bit, kind of reflected, trying to figure out some of my next steps on what I want to do.
Do you like your job? Oh, what were we gonna say?
No, I was gonna say it would have been cool if you was there with me.
Oh, had I gotten the invitation in time,
I'm trying to gauge things. It's like I wanted to, but I'm like, is that going too much? Is it just bad?
In the future, shoot me a text because I love the water.
Okay, you like doing the little cliche walks on the beach?
At sunset, yes.
I'm Yonci, and I'm a Sagittarius.
And scene. So there's a comparison of being engaging. I also think that what I hear from men is that women don't get a lot of cues because we're taught to play hard to get and do all this stuff, and the women will soak up the compliments but will not give them. And so a lot of times my girlfriends, I'll say, especially if it's in person, find an excuse to touch his shoulder. It doesn't have to be sexual, but just touch his shoulder when he's laughing, you're laughing, touch his leg, different things, because we like it when a guy holds our hand when we cross the street or puts his hand on the small of our back or opens the door, things like that. So I think doing those little things, they don't come across as thirsty. I compare it to the airplane little batons where it's like, okay, keep coming, you're coming this way, because no man wants to feel like he's going down a path where there's no interest at the end. So
and that's real tough trying to read cues, like when to break the touch barrier,
Right.
how far to go, like, and then like I think the most awkward part of any relationship is the first kiss, because you don't know like when is it supposed to occur. There's no real. It's like, do I kind of? Because I've been rejected on the first kiss before.
And then you wait to see if she's doing this, and then it's like, is he gonna?
Yeah, no, I went for it, and then I was like, damn. And then you get the she went kissing face, like, and then you gotta say something like, oh, you're not ready yet.
Right.
It's
and then as women, we want the guy to know because they're like, don't ask. Whatever you do, don't ask. So I think that what women can do is use humor. I think use humor. Understand that the guy's already on the spot. He's already, stepped out of his potential comfort zone calling you. So to me, like with the example I did was, oh, you called. Let him know it was a welcome thing. Because if you're just like, ho hum, you don't know what it's like. When you're on the other end, you don't know if you're calling them, interrupting them, or what have you. And so I think those cues are really important for the guy. I call it like it's like a puppy. You reward good behavior, you punish bad. So you reward when he does something great. Oh my God, you remember it, or I love the fact you texted me this morning, or oh my God, like.
So, first kiss barrier, I actually have a line that I use that's pretty successful. To kind of break that. I can't say it on the air.
I was gonna say you gonna ruin all your game.
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'll tell you in the chat.
I was gonna say text it to you.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna text it to you.
Okay, I want to hear this. Sorry, guys.
and you can respond.
But let us know, you guys, if this is helpful information. I'm gonna rag on the people. The last time I checked, there were only 11 likes. So if you're liking this, let me know. This is what we do it for. We do it for the likes.
I'm texting the line.
There's a lie. But yeah, guys, let me know. Are we on point as far as giving cues and wanting to know, that you guys are on point? Ladies, do you find it difficult to let the guy know he's on the right track? And like I said, humor is always fun. I've had so many guys tell me, oh my God, it's so easy to talk to you. But it's because I try to pay attention and see how they might be feeling. And just speak to it. Sometimes if you just speak to the what could be awkward, it just really helps.
I like how you smiled when the text came through. You didn't even read it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So she could, you put it out there, and it's like, if she says like, oh, that's a sign. But if she was like, oh man, really? Then you probably wouldn't do it.
Would you fall for that one?
I don't know if I would call it falling, but I think that it would be cute if a guy that I was feeling said that. But actually, I think it is kind of a good thing because, like I said, if I wasn't feeling him, I would really, I would really be like, oh, so, and make my body. Gosh, I really should.
After you say that, if you weren't sure before, you're gonna be sure.
You're gonna be very sure. Yes, I think that's a good one. Yeah, I definitely would be like, oh, good thing you did. So I says, yes, I'm enjoying the show. Thank you guys. If you have any specific questions, like Elizabeth is asking her question, feel free to ask it now. And let me know how we're doing on time, sir. I know you have literally school in the morning, but let me know how you're doing on time.
Jack is keeping me up right now.
Oh, yay. Okay. So I want to know, so we talked about communication. Yeah, I'm trying to just get it out. I don't lose all my female followers. Okay. Would you say that you have found your interactions with women that women can be defensive without reason? Possibly argumentative.
I'm fair, and I won't say without reason.
Okay.
I will say it can be unwanted in that moment, but the reason could be trauma. The reason could be past experience. We all respond and react to things based on certain stimuli. So that I get. Now, sometimes, like if I'm aware of certain things, I will tell her, I'm like, hey, I'm not him. Like whoever did it to you, I'm not him. And sometimes that can be hard to see you responding to something that's past, then I'm convinced that you know, yeah, trust me, and that's going to make things difficult. So maybe we need to slow things down until you're able to fully trust me, because I don't. We want to. We I don't necessarily believe that you have to be fully healed because somebody might go along with that journey and help you
Yes.
unpack things. But I do believe if before you get too serious, that you have to be to a place to where you're not punishing a person you're with for past trauma and making them suffer for it. I think certain levels of understanding, we communicate these. Hey, these are triggers of mine. You communicate these things so that you can accommodate one another in those areas, support in those areas, with an understanding that you're not going to be perfect in it, but the effort, you know what I mean? Um, and so, yeah, that defensive part, if I feel like the defensiveness is coming from avoiding accountability, that's a problem, you know what I mean? Um,
You want to get into that accountability, by the way?
How?
I said, do you want to get into that accountability, by the way?
I'm getting fit.
Do you think that we have a hard time being accountable based on kind of how society is? Because I'm only repeating what I hear men say, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because look at the narrative. So the same, like, what are the cliches? Like, oh, say sorry like a woman, right? Because for men, it's like the narrative is men are always wrong even when we're right, right? Or don't argue. You can never argue with a woman. Don't argue, or even if like you get social media exchanges, what do they do to men? Like if a man and woman are having a debate, you look gay, you arguing with a woman. Why you going back and forth with the woman? Because she's wrong. That's why. And we're not allowed to hold her. You're clearly wrong, and I'm not allowed to hold you accountable. So holding someone accountable is not equivalent to not protecting, because that's when we start moving it. Oh, you're supposed to protect. Listen, be a grown up. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to sit here and keep taking the blame and brunt of everything because you're a woman. You know what I mean? Because then you can't be. There's all these other narratives when we talk about women are so much smarter and always a step ahead, and women's intuition. So when it's convenient, it's intuition, and we smart, we this. But then when you're wrong, it's don't say it because I'm a woman. Don't get on me because I'm a woman. Don't argue with me because I'm a woman. Like, no, we're gonna pack this. You're gonna own your shit. I'm gonna own my shit. And that's how it used to be. It's like if you're wrong, you're wrong. Now I get it. If you believe you're right, yeah, there's gonna be some discussions because okay, for me, it's people call me like a know-it-all, but I'm not. I just believe I'm right. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying when I say that when I say that I'm not saying that I'm never wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show me that I'm wrong, because when I believe I'm right, I believe it passionately. You saying, Barzini, you're wrong, doesn't make me believe that I'm wrong. Because
but what if you don't believe the data? What if they bring the data and you still don't believe the data?
Do you honestly think that I'm not bringing data to you?
No, I'm just saying, like, because I've talked to people who you feel.
When I'm wrong about something, it's typically a clarity issue. I didn't hear something properly, or I understood it wrong, right? And so I don't, and then like, no, I said, or no, this, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
Like a misunderstanding.
Right. So when I see the misstep, and I'm like, okay, boom, I'm wrong. My bad. I apologize. Or you know what? Okay. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example when I was wrong. Somebody that I was seeing, she started a business and she had a website done, and she called me and asked for my opinion on her website, and I tore it to shreds. I did not like it. She paid somebody to do it, and I just did not feel they did a good job. I'm like, these lines here, the fonts there, blah 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 blah, and I need to find somebody to fix. Like, I was going big because I'm thinking from a business point of view. Right. I'm like, this does not represent you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, nah, I'm riding for you. I'm trying to help you. And we got off the phone, and she was like, well, this, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. So when I got off the phone, I got reflective, and I was immediately reminded of my experience with an ex, that everything that I used to do, business-wise and things, like, she would always rip it to shreds and tell me why it's not working and not good. And I remember how I felt, and I was like, I just did that. And I was like,
no chaser.
Right, and so I called her back. No, I texted her. I was like, hey, I want to unpack something that I just was reflective on. So I called and I was like, hey, I was just reminded of, and I told her the story like what my ex used to do, and I was like, and I feel like I just did that to you.
Mm.
And she was like, you did, and it didn't feel good.
Oh.
And so, and I had to apologize. I was wrong, and I had to apologize. Now I still didn't like the site, but
you didn't like yellow font on a white background? What's the problem?
Well, no, it was I was telling the truth about what I felt, but the way that I delivered it, you know, like
I was joking about certain rules, like you don't put yellow font on a white background.
Well, sometimes it's knowing the difference between giving your opinion or validating something,
yes.
Understanding what they need in that moment,
yes.
And what she needed in that moment was validation.
Yep.
Or if she needed criticism, I have to find a different way to do it because I'm direct. I don't do flowery. I'm bold, like, you know, and that's the only way I know how to be. So that's a growth area for me. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can take the way that I deliver information.
But I think it takes being aware, and I think that's the thing that I hear so much. And for people who are just tuning in for the first time, maybe this is the first video you're watching, I don't rag on women like I don't have this thing, I'm not a pick-me. It's I want us to work better together. So I will listen to women and see what they are majority saying, and there's a lot of, you know, similarities, and I'll share that with men, and the same thing with men. If a lot of men are saying the same thing, I'll bring it back to the women. So I'm really just being a messenger. So this particular one is geared towards women and what we can do better. But I hear so many guys say, it's like women are living in their own world. They're making the rules, they are calling the shots, and yes, okay, there's a lot of stuff the guys do, but a lot of guys feel like if I really say what I want to say, I'm gonna pay. It's gonna be hell. Like if she asks me how I look in that dress, I really can't tell her how she looks in her dress. Or if she asks for this, I really can't say no because I'm gonna have hell to pay. And it's almost like overgrown children. You want a peer. You want to feel like it's your equal as far as like maturity. But if the person's acting like a spoiled little 2-year-old, that's not sexy.
Right. And I think I wouldn't go as far as saying spoiled little 2-year-old because a lot of women don't necessarily recognize where that behavior is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're saying it's truth versus validation, sometimes women don't recognize that that's what they're looking for. And they just know what they weren't looking for when they get the answer. It's like, hey, I got the answer. Nope, didn't like that. You know. So when we say, well, what did you want? I don't know. I just know it's not that. You know.
My dad used to say, do you want me to listen or do you want advice? He would ask me that.
Yeah, and yet we're the ones that don't know how to communicate, which is mind-boggling to me. But I also say this, it's like, we often say women don't want the truth. Women want their truth. You know? You don't want to, you're not asking, do you look fat in that dress? You're asking me, are you attractive?
Oh,
you know?
Say
so
that.
Instead of saying that, you know, it's like, or saying, hey, I feel fat, I don't feel pretty lately. How do, you know what I mean?
Yes, or do you still find me attractive?
Right, or just, you can even say, hey, I haven't been feeling pretty lately. You tell me that, I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So don't even ask me, don't ask me, am I still attractive? Because that's still a loaded question. What I'm supposed to say? Nah, actually, you've been getting fat, you know? Because that could be the truth.
Exactly.
So don't ask me that.
Right.
But if you're saying, maybe I don't feel pretty, I've been gaining weight, my confidence is down.
Then you could say, I still love you. You know, I mean, like.
You know, and I'm not even going to say still. Almost like, well, why would you? That's no, I love you. I think you're beautiful. You know, if you're feeling that way, let's do something about it. You know, you want to go work out. What do you need in this moment? What do you need from me? You know? And sometimes less is more. Like, don't try to say a whole lot of things because, you know, listen, it's loud.
I'm glad I don't date women. I'm glad. Yeah.
But it's also, when you learn her, you kind of start learning what to say.
Yeah.
And everything else. And vice versa.
Yeah, I was going to say, right.
90% ego, you know, and so there's certain things that you can't say to us that's going to trigger us. You know what I mean? So.
It is so true. It is so true about the ego thing. And it's funny because a lot of times, you know, we see guys as being so tough and this and that. But y'all sometimes can be super sensitive. Like the littlest thing is going to set you up.
but it's not being sensitive. You see what I'm saying? And then see, like, that can be a trigger word when you say sensitive. What does that start to do? It starts to have a feminine connotation. When you call me sensitive, you're essentially calling me what? Weak. And when you say the littlest thing, that's you're portraying weakness. I have triggers just like you because I'm a human being just like you. And the narrative, the belief is that it's because I'm a man that my emotional propensity is somehow different. It is not. You see what I'm saying? We actually have more emotional hangups because we don't get
that outlet.
carte blanche to be able to express them. Men come with two default emotions: happiness and anger. These are the two boxes that we exist in. Of everything in between is often foreign to us because we're never allowed to express them. We're not allowed to express confusion, weakness, uncertainty, low self-esteem, none of these things, sadness, none of these. Why? Because anything outside of happiness or anger is weakness. You see what I mean? And that's what we try to avoid. And if you display this, then you're what? Not a man, right? You have to have it all together. You're not allowed to struggle. You're a man. What's the memes that we read? Oh, ladies, if you got a man and you still struggling, you single, right? And I was gonna do this, and I was like, no, I'm being petty. People know. Like, I was gonna rewrite that meme and say, man, if you got a woman, if you're in a relationship with a woman and you still struggling, you still single, bro. Like, you're literally saying because you're a man, you're not allowed to struggle.
Right.
Your existence is to help her no longer struggle. Even if she created those struggles, pay her bills. You can create all the bills you want, and my job is to come in and pay them.
Can you?
Do you know how? And you know what to say, but do you know how effed up you got me?
Can you get into that? Because we talked about that in our conversation about having those two boxes. Can you kind of walk it through? Because a lot of women, they have no idea what that's like to not even be able to place an emotion. Because I've had conversations with a guy, and I was like, how do you feel? And he was like, I don't, like, he couldn't articulate it. Like you said, there's anger and there's happiness. So, what were the two you said? Anger, was it anger and happiness?
Happiness and anger.
Yeah, anger and happiness. He said, and happiness in the hood could be looked at as weakness. My goodness. I want to read this point too. Chavez says, what's interesting is oftentimes it's us men as dads who create our daughters to be the type of women we wouldn't want to date. And I would agree. But can you really unpack like what that's like? Because if a man is experiencing something that's not,
it's daunting and it's confusing, and I'm glad that I've been able to evolve enough to not give a shit about I'm in therapy every week, so we talk about those in betweens, right? But I'm also able to recognize, but I'm also somebody who's very self-aware.
yes,
I was somebody who I was raised by a man who gave me hugs and kisses. You know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man, and I don't say, oh, that's my daddy. When I refer to him, I tell him, oh yeah, my daddy says this. And they're like, you still call him daddy? Yeah, I still call him daddy because he's my daddy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't often see that. But I'll say this: I had the advantage. He tells a story because my father got me when I was 6. Right? I was with my mom, and when I was 6 years old, my father called my mom and said, "Hey, I want my son." So he came and got my brother. And my mom was like, "Here you go ahead, you can raise your boys." And so, before that, I was with my mom from 3 years old to 6 years old. I was baby. So mom did everything. It was all like, and then you go with dad. So I'm used to how I behave with mom. So he tells the story, and I didn't remember this moment, but my dad tells me he was in there watching TV, and I came in the room, and I laid down, and I laid my head on his lap, and he was confused. He was like, "What is the like? You a boy? Like what's going on? And he had to realize, oh, he's used to being with mama. This is what he does with mama. He's 6 years old. And so he realized then I have to also be nurturer. And so that's not who my grandfather was to him. That's my grandmother, but my grandfather was very strong, very, you've been, And so he had to learn how to nurture my brother and I. So even to this day, it's confusing to me when I see men shake their father's hand. No, we hug.
Right.
My father would stand up on my bed and kiss me in the morning and speak into my life and tell me you're great times that I was struggling, he would speak to me.
Yeah.
You know, my father tells me he loves me since I was a little boy. Told me he loves me at every point. So that's why I speak with such confidence when I'm talking about men. And those experiences that we try to see are not empirically true. You know, and I see it often. Men are far more than what we want to give credit for.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about these emotions, we want to pin them to these two emotions because that's convenient to women's narrative, right? Anything in between is a level of more self-awareness. The more self-aware we are, the more we see, the more we're going to hold you accountable because it's requiring you to be more. For a man that's self-aware, there's more requisites of you. But if we can keep him here, because we tell him this is how you're supposed to act,
right.
This is how you're supposed to feel. These are things you're supposed. We tell men you can't even say these words. Like you don't never. There's never a meme that says, "Oh, how would you feel if a woman says this?" Right? Like it was one today. How would you feel if you heard your man say, "Boy, bye"? Oh, if a man puts like if you're texting and he goes, "Hey," you gonna look at that real quick like, "Hey," like he can say "okay," but he can't say "K."
Right.
Where women can say "what up," you got women walk around talking about like what? Like this. I can't.
I hear so many men say that it's so offensive. Like, I'm not your bro. I'm not your man. Yeah.
First of all, especially if I like you, like
right.
That's the kiss of death. When she be like, "Oh hey, bro." It's like Ricky getting shot on Boys in the Hood. Like,
okay, wait, but you gotta break this down. So I will say I'm guilty, but I blame it on the Cali thing because it's like you know Cali, like there's a lot of bruh, whatever, blah blah blah. Like, but what is it about that? Because you could be like, oh, because for me it's like if I get excited, so I'm bro, you can't believe, and I've had boyfriends be like, no, ma'am.
Okay, imagine a woman saying my nigga all the time.
No.
It's like that. It's like that. Like if you call the woman, like if I go, hey, y'all see how you doing? Oh, what's up, my nigga?
Okay, that just sounds like
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what bro feels like.
So it almost feels like masculine coming at you. That's
masculine energy. You're like, stop. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, and because
you're not sitting there
you're not sitting there like that, talking about, hey, my nigga.
It's true.
It just feels like you're doing it. Oh, what's up, my nigga? like, or you got a handful of policies, like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm so done.
Like you got
playing spades.
Spend some seed, yeah. Like, hey, show. I got two of them possible. Like, whatever. Like, no.
Suckers out your teeth.
Right. Like, no, okay.
Noted, ladies. Don't say bruh. Don't say bro. Don't say man.
Yeah. So imagine this. Right. You're the guy. Okay, and you bring in your woman through and cook out to meet your friends or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Your homeboys, you've been telling your homeboys about it, you know what I'm saying? And you bring her through, and you're like, oh yeah, how you doing? This is my girl Yonci. And she reach her hand out. He like, oh hey, how you go to get a shake with her hand? And she go, oh, what's up, my nigga?
And he goes like this and gets the hand.
Right, like, imagine that, and imagine what their faces gonna look like. Like.
You're painting a really clear picture for us, sir.
Right, like you dating that crib, brother.
That's so funny. I was gonna say there's not really an equivalent. I guess it would be like if a dude was like, "Hey, girl," you'd be like, "No, we not going."
Or honey, or yeah.
There you go. The yes. Hey girl, oh yes, hunty. You'd be like, no, stay in your lane.
Exactly.
Oh God.
So it's but there's far more things that men are told they can or shouldn't say. You know that women are a lot more free to be expressive, whereas men is like, okay, don't say that. And then there's cool things you can't say to women, and this culture, cancel culture, and Me Too, and it's like
I got on this. We can talk about your height, y'all can't talk about our weight. We can spoon with another woman, y'all can barely even hug another man. Like we can vent, y'all can't. Gotta keep all your feelings bottled up inside.
Exactly. And if you had a sexual experience with another woman, you were experimenting.
Yes.
If you had a sexual experience with you're gay,
you're just not out of the closet yet.
Right. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm like, you get what, bro?
And that's, I feel like it's such a cultural thing, because I think because men get so excited about it, I think it's made it more acceptable. So that one's a little bit like,
what, as far as women being with women?
Yeah, I think if more women was like, oh, that's so hot, having two men hook up, I think it would become more socially acceptable, theoretically.
And there are women that think that. There's a lot of men that, of course, on the down low are into some other things. You know,
I heard
that's why they call it, like, you never, like, down low is not a thing with women. When you say DM,
true.
we are not talking about women.
That's true. I've never thought of down low being a woman who hasn't come out of the closet.
We're never talking about women who talk down low. It's always men.
Wow. And I think that you usually think about a woman being able to, a man being able to turn a woman gay. Like, turn a woman straight. Like, oh yeah, she used to mess with women, but then she got with a real man. You know?
Now, I had a really interesting experience. I swear to God, I even blogged about this a long time ago. I gotta find that blog and send it to you. But I was at the laundromat, and I'm getting in the car, putting my clothes in the car, and I hear this voice like, "Oh, you gonna wash my clothes too?" You know what I'm saying? I hear this woman talking, and the cool just turned on automatic because there was a car next to me. And so I turned around and I looked, and there's a woman sitting there, and she looking like, "I didn't say that," and then all of a sudden this other end like picked up. And it was a woman, but she was a stud though. She's like, yeah, I was like, because I'm confused. Because like, okay, you're a woman, you are a woman, but not because you trying to be a dude,
right?
So like, are you being a gay dude, or are you?
So I had a guy who I worked with. I won't say his name. But he was a guy, obviously. And the guy I worked with was a guy. But then he said he felt like, he liked dating women. But as a man, he felt like he was trapped in a man's body, that he was really a woman trapped in a man's body. So he felt like he was like he had an inner lesbian that needed to come out. So you would say...
So he wanted to transition but still date women.
Yes.
Like he wanted to be Bruce Jenner.
Yes. Because he didn't want to date women as a man. He wanted to date women as a woman. So he did the full transition, but he felt like a woman type.
Here's unpopular opinion on that from me. Two things about LGBT stuff that's problematic for me when it pertains to women. One, and maybe just because I don't understand when someone says, "Oh, I feel like I'm a woman." How, when you don't know, you're not a woman, so I don't understand how you could possibly feel like you're a woman. Because to me, all you're doing is you're interpreting what you think being a woman is, and that's how you begin to feel. But you'll never know the nuances of being a woman. You know what I mean?
I've heard. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and then when you talk about gay men, not all gay men, but I'll say flamboyant.
Okay.
Right. I feel like their interpretation is always default stereotypical black woman.
Yeah, right. The over the top.
I'm like, women don't even act like that.
Right.
Yes, and I'm like,
yes, over the top.
And it doesn't matter what color, black, white, whatever. Gay men's default is always a black woman. And I feel like it's a disrespect.
The flaboyant ones,
right.
Because there are a lot.
Black women don't act like that.
I was gonna say because there are some.
Star reality shows.
Right.
That's not black women. You know.
Not all black women. There's a segment.
Yeah, that's why I said stereotypical.
Yeah, very.
You know.
I heard a guy explaining somebody who was wanting to transition, saying that they felt like specifically their body parts were theirs. Like the man had a member and he felt like it was a foreign object, like it should not be part of him. In the same way, I guess a woman would wake up and she had a member and she's like, what is this thing for? Like, he felt like it should not be on him. And I've heard women who said they felt like their breasts shouldn't be on them. Like, they always just felt like I want to hide them, I want to cover them. They should just it's not me. So I don't know if it's maybe a physical thing, like a discomfort with their body.
Far be, and I say what I say because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And because that's not my experience, I'm very in tune with my parts.
So many comments I could make right now.
I enjoy my parts, and I enjoy what my parts do.
Sai says she was still a female, me and the lady in the car. 9 times out of 10, there's still a guy whose stud woman would allow the pass. Wait, a guy whose stud woman. Wait, but he wouldn't be with a stud woman. Wait, she'll have to explain that one because I'm trying to. Yeah. I had a friend, this is a funny thing. So I have a friend and he is like beyond gay. He is like, hey, hunty. Like, he is out the closet. He painted the closet rainbow. You know, you would not be confused on his orientation. And he said a stud, and he's really small. Like, he's probably, I say really small, but he's like probably like 5'7" or something. Maybe 5'6", maybe shorter. And a really, really tall stud woman came. And she said, but he likes masculine men. So she pushed up on him, put her hand on the smallest bag, and she had bass in her voice, everything. And he was like, I felt away. He was like, I was like, oh. He's like, I knew I didn't want vagina. He's like, but I was just like, he's like, my brain was confused because she was bringing so much masculine energy. And oh my God, when he told that story, it was hilarious. Because I'm just picturing her and him, and you know, she kind of cornered him at the bar and like pushed. You know, how guys make women uncomfortable. She was totally pushing up at him, making him uncomfortable. He was like, I was strangely turned on. Oh my God.
Yeah, women are aggressive as hell.
I've been hit on before, and
listen, I thought I was gonna have to fight this gay couple one time in Vegas. I'm out there with my homegirl, and these two women, you know, the gay women come up and they compliment her. Like, she was looking dumb. I was like, oh yeah. So she was like, yeah, you know, you want to come with us? It was like, I was like, hey, I am staying there. They was like, nah, you know, we get you a cab back to the hotel. She can go. I was like, yo, like I was like, hey, look, y'all was like, that wasn't finna be women to me no more. Like,
what do you claim right now? Okay, let's go.
For real, because first of all, I felt my manhood was since I was like, did they look at me and feel like, oh, we can go take this?
He ain't gonna do nothing.
I'm like, lady, I'll shoot you.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I might not punch you, but I'll shoot you in the face, okay?
Right. And the thing is, it was my homegirl. We weren't even together, but they didn't know that.
That's just disrespectful.
Right.
They should have been shaking in their boots.
Right. Okay. So, random scenario. Okay. Tell me if this is disrespectful.
Okay.
Because it happened to me and then I did it. Alright? Is it disrespectful? Just imagine you're the woman, right? Mm-hmm. You're sitting with a dude. We're not specifying whether or not you're with them, it's just a friend or whatever. But a dude thinks you're attractive and he comes up. He doesn't talk to you, but he asks the dude you're with if you're his woman.
You said, is it disrespectful?
Do you think that's disrespectful?
I actually think it is respectful. Because it's like a man stepping to a man.
Right, but asking, oh, is this your woman?
Yeah, I think.
Because I'm about to holler at it.
Yeah, I think it is respect. Like, I just look at it this way. I wouldn't take offense to that. So if I was with a guy friend and a dude was like, hey, is this your chick? And he's like, no. I'd be like, hey. I wouldn't be. Because I feel like it has the potential to be disrespectful if he were to step to me and be like, yo, is that your man? We're like, excuse me, yes it is, and fall back. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's more respectful out of the two.
We're spending time. So we about to take a break so you can get out of that real quick.
Wait, what you mean?
Like if you and I are kicking it,
yeah,
and a dude come up to me and is like, hey, is this your woman? First of all, I'm gonna say yes. Right?
Oh, you're saying like what if they haven't gotten to that point but they're trying to get there?
No, I'm saying I'm gonna say yes even if it's not true.
Why? Why would you are you saying you would cock block and potentially rob me of meeting my Boaz? If we were hanging out?
Because if you and I are kicking it, first of all, that means one of us has flown to either LA or Texas.
Let's not be literal. Let's say if you were still out here. If you were still out here and we were just hanging out, and a dude walked up to me, you would block my blessing like that?
You don't know if that's your blessing. I could be saving you from your nightmare.
Dang, Jason, I thought we were friends.
I'm petty sometimes.
That is very
I'm being
petty.
accountable.
But you know what's crazy? Sometimes that is, people find that more attractive when they can't quite figure out. And I've done it with my guy friends. I'm like, okay, you want to holler at some girls? Bring me with you. And I'll be a little bit vague with my body language. And then people are like, because people want what other people want. So it's just
Yeah, I mean, if you know how to be a good wingwoman.
I'm a fantastic wingwoman.
So I've done the same thing that you did that I said that happened to me. And I don't know how I felt about the response.
What did he say?
Right? So, no, because I was like, as far as my reputation was concerned. So, my boy was visiting. I was still living in LA. And we were at Chili's. And there was a bad one sitting at the bar. And she was sitting with a dude, but I'm peeping out the energy. I was like, I don't think they're together, bro. You know, sometimes you just peep that energy and you just don't feel like. So they were walking out together, and I stopped doing it. I was like, say, bro, I was like, is that your woman? He was like, nah, but I'm kind of working on it. He was like, wait a minute. He goes, ain't you Barzini? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, say, bro, look, hey, I'm trying to work on that. Like, just throw me out real quick. Like, and I'm like, bro, you got it. And so my boy is looking at me because this is the first time like he really kicked it
Right.
because he was visiting out of town. And he looked at me like, nigga, who are you? Like what have you done? What you out here doing?
Oh, this is out in Texas?
Huh?
This is out in Texas?
No, this was in LA.
Oh, okay. That's why I was like, Daddy, you already look like that.
No, we was in Inglewood.
Okay.
So I'm like, what's out there in these streets about? Like, what have I done? You know. So I had to do some self-reflection, but I was like, hey, you got it, bro.
No comment. No comment. Just kidding, ladies. People crazy.
You made enough comments. Your no comment is not a no comment.
I don't think you know how to. You just gonna ignore the fact I'm on a whole live stream. Make something else, but I'm rapping. She knows she never does this. She feeling real bold right now.
I was like, whatever she cooking up, some hot pockets, whatever, gonna be good.
My group just loud and just. I said, you know what? God is allowing me to start basic, so that when I rise and I have that professional studio and I got that team of people who are at that, I could be like, y'all remember when I had a microwave going in the background? And I had to sit like hella close to my screen because my little break. Yeah, you gotta start somewhere. Start somewhere at the bottom.
Yeah, the background is great.
Thank you so much. My lovely daughter would like to bake some biscuits right now, and I don't think she's quite at the age where she can bake biscuits yet.
I will be able to.
Wait, how old is she?
She just turned 9.
No,
So she's gonna have to pop the thing. She's gonna have to set them out. She's gonna have to preheat the oven.
What? I did that before with the other thing, so I don't care.
You see what yeah.
Hello world.
Oh, right.
She can bake biscuits.
She can.
She's the girl to bake biscuits.
She can bake them, but she can't pop the thing open yet. You know, you gotta like put your thumb
We're
and
grown and still became pop. That's why we still jump when they, you know. Like, that's a thing.
Oh my god.
It's because they biscuits.
Okay, fine. Look, I'm gonna bring this on. Oh my god. Alright, since we just gonna go with it, we gonna go all the way together. 16 minutes.
Mom,
And you already put it at 3:50?
I can read it.
She said I can read, but what if I open it and then it destroys the. Okay. Be great. Make sure you wash your hands.
Thank you.
Yo, we can all remember when Yonci opened a can of biscuits on her live stream with Barzini.
Hey, listen. You're on my mom. What you want the world to say?
This is real life. This is real life. Well, I love these comments. Natasha says it's not disrespectful, but it's really weird. Happened to my ex and me a couple of years ago. They dapped up, and I was like, yeah, what just happened?
Because after that, you get the compliment. Like, it's a compliment if somebody's coming to ask, like, oh, yeah, hey, bro. But at the same time, it's like, watch your back, because Cassie's, you know what I'm saying?
We peeping that.
Like, you gotta have confidence.
So Kira says I need to let my daughter be great. I need to let her. So anyway, well, I'm going to either wrap here or let you turn the tables, which I think I've only done twice in 6 years. Just because you know me so well, is there anything that you would like to ask that you feel would would be helpful to the listeners? And I'm already regretting offering at this point. Just seeing your smile. Do you have any questions that you think would be helpful for the audience?
Questions? I don't know, because I really think through stuff, to be honest. But I would
Dodge
say,
that bullet.
what would you say to women? What advice would you offer, especially having gone through the transformation that you have?
Let's be clear, so people who are new to my channel know what I mean.
going from the princess syndrome,
Okay.
or an advocate for men in relationships or interactions, because this version of you was not always so, right? And even though we've talked about it, and it's still like amazing because you were so far to that end, to where it's now it's like, it's you still a woman, you know what I mean, and you still have the ways, but I think you're starting to think and see things from both lenses.
It's more open-minded.
Right. Yeah. So what would you say? I guess what is the importance of such a transformation or transition in your thinking, and how that's helped you
I think
personally? I know professionally. We see professionally, but
yeah.
Personally, how's it helped you?
I think it's just opening up more doors. Like when you realize that it's so unattractive, there are only a small select few who would actually want that. So I mean, it's selfish in the end. I mean, or I should say, it has a benefit to me in the end. It opens up the doors to more people who would be open to me, and also it makes the relationship more satisfying because you have a guy who's not under duress. You have a guy who's like, man, my chick actually wants to know what I'm thinking, and she's actually listening to what I say. What did Chavez say? I potentially blocked homegirl's blessings indirectly. Oh, he's talking about, man. So Chavez, I gotta tell the story. So Chavez has a buddy who does this event. You probably heard of Kiss and Grind, being out here. So I've gone a couple times with him or whatever. But he's just a gentleman, and so if I show up or whatever, he's gonna come meet me at the door, walk me through the crowds, I'll have to deal with foolishness, what have you. And so people would just automatically peep and be like, oh, okay, he's walking her, they must be together. And I remember thinking like, man, nobody's stepping to me. Not to mention we're in VIP, which their VIP is like the center of the floor. It's actually the good VIP, not like you off in the cut somewhere. Gotta walk to the dance floor. You're front and center. And so I think he said later, people were asking like, oh, is she with you? That's you, whatever. And I'm like, man, this man blocking all my blessings. Because people didn't want to be disrespectful and step to his personal bet. But yeah, I would just, what'd you say? Yeah. I think it's just part of like, just evolving as a person. When you're younger, your world is just you. Like a 2-year-old will have a temper tantrum because he can't see, oh, mom is working right now and she's on a call, or dad is in the middle of whatever. They can only see their limited world. And I think coming out of that, you start to see things in a broader way. And you said, okay, we do see how it helps you professionally, but it does also help you in other ways because you can then get what you need from other people because you understand what they need. And it's not about manipulation. It's just the rules of the laws of the land. There's just certain things. It's a give and a take. So I would definitely encourage everybody as much as possible to start talking to the guys in their life because that's what happened for me. Talk to guys who aren't trying to get your pants, first of all, because you can get the truth. You might get some truth from some who aren't trying to get in your pants, but just listen. Just listen to the opposite sex, and it goes for guys too. Like you could be this caveman bonehead that's just like, I like doing this, but until you really start to have conversations with the opposite sex, trying to really understand them, you're only gonna get so far. So the crown is cute, but I'd rather be a queen.
You thought about that before.
Shut up. This is live on the phone.
Evolution looks good on you. I'll say that.
Well, thank you, friend. I do appreciate it.
And I think it's necessary for us all to was really surprised to hear your thoughts of me back then. Yeah, I don't know that you thought I was.
I wasn't gonna say it.
That was interesting. Yeah, but no, it's the furthest thing from the truth. I've always been about everything. Okay? So that's just always been my shtick, and everything else. And a lot of people think when they hear my thoughts that the way that I operate romantically is much different than I sound when I speak. So I will say something like it makes 0 sense walking outside my foot forward, but I still do it.
Yeah,
I don't see the purpose of opening the door. Like, why gotta walk around the car to open the door? For what? What did I do? But I still do it.
See, but I couldn't picture you being like, I don't know, because I'm trying to think of how I would describe you back then, but then as I'm thinking about it, it contradicted what I saw, like you said, like I think it was like you were just so different from other guys in the sense that you didn't like kiss up, but I don't mean kiss up in that sense. I think to you it would be like kissing up versus someone.
I wasn't interested in impressing. I was interested in I want to know the people that are in my life, not impressing. So I'm not worried about saying all the right things so that you don't have the wrong impression.
But I feel like the pendulum swung the other way. Like here's it trying to impress and being like a pick me, and then here's neutral where it's like, oh, I'm not trying to impress you necessarily, but it almost seemed like combative, almost like proving that you're not like we're equal in that sense. Versus guys will subconsciously put the woman on the pedestal, like, oh man, you gave me your number. You just always seem like unimpressed, like whatever, like just very blasé. And so for a lot of women, they want that ego stroke, for lack of
Yeah, and I know.
And you were not going to get that.
I'm excellent at stroking the ego, but do something that's impressive to me. Like, I'm not about to, I don't compliment basic. Like, okay, like, damn, the way you opened that soda was dope. No, like, what?
I'm so done with you.
Right, no, admittedly, I'm not easily impressed.
I was just going to ask that question. When is
not easily impressed, but I do, like, when you look great, I'm going to tell you, oh, hey, that's dope. That's like, you know what I mean? And that's always been, but I'm not like, oh, every little thing because you know, it's almost like that narrative, like, oh, you're not going to reward a man for being a dad. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And not that those are things that you're supposed to do, but it's like, that's basic. So when you do something that I don't normally experience, yeah, I compliment that. I pick up that. And it's not that I don't appreciate the basic regular things. It's like, hey, thank you. Yeah, that's thank you. I appreciate that.
So when
above basic, that's dope. Oh, like, yeah, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So when is the time, can you give us a time, an example, when a woman impressed you and you were like,
this is going to sound contradictory to what I just said. It's the simple things that you don't really think about that are uncommon for women to do.
So it's not basic because women aren't doing them.
Exactly. So I was out with somebody. It was a first date with somebody that I really, really, really liked. Really. And so we were at Fleming's, a Fortnacci. And so when we was sort of, doing steak and lobster back and just all this other stuff, whatever, And I asked for the check. And I don't know what I was doing, but I looked up and she was signing the check. Like, she paid for the bill, like, on the first day.
And you suggested Fleming.
Yeah. Well, because I was asking, I was in her seat, and I was like, well, what's around here? And then they was like, there's this, there's that, there's Fleming's, and I was like, oh, well, let's go to Fleming's. She was like, what's this? I was like, let's go. Because she, so I was like, yeah, let's go. I suggested it, and she paid. I was like, now that could have been trying to prove I want nothing from you. Like, let me not, so you don't think this, and this. could have been that. But nonetheless, I was like, hey, you ain't have to do that. Like, I got that, And she didn't, but she like, what is like it's not a big deal. And I was just like, because not only is that uncommon for women, especially on the first date, but a woman as fine as she is, it's like usually fine women or dudes is always on a date. Not that they expect it, but they usually are getting
Right.
You know what I mean? And then some do have that sense of entitlement. And so I never got the sense that she had entitlement, but the fact that she would pay for it, I was like,
that backfired on me one time. I heard a guy say like at least offer, right? They were like, at least offer, but what I offered was a split. Like, hey, did you want to split it or whatever? And he was like, oh, that'd be great. And I was like, and it wasn't so much about me having a problem paying. It's the fact that just the way I was raised, I don't see him as manly anymore. Like that psychologically, that's just how my dad was like. He's like, if I ever find out a daughter of mine is paying, he's like, your presence is the payment. I don't ever want you to feel like you owe. That's the type of thing Chavez was talking about. That's how the men are raised.
Fathers give horrible dating advice usually.
But see, this is the thing. I think it just depends on the guy, because there are guys like you who are really turned on by that, and then I know the guys I typically attract are offended. They're literally like, I have one guy say, and I quote, we went out to eat. One of my favorite restaurants is Benihana, and that's pricey. So when the waitress brought the bill, I just naturally turned to kind of just see what we were gonna do, and he looked at me and said, I don't even know why you're looking at this end of the table. He said, nothing over here concerns you. And I was like, oh. And that's the kind of energy I'm used to. And I know guys who say that. I actually think that I think I snuck and paid one time, and the guy was like offended. He was just like you don't think I can afford it? But I just think it's just a personality thing. I think some people are flattered by it, and other people feel like that's what makes me feel like a man, and you just took that from me. So it's hard to say, but come to find out, that guy was homeless. He was crashing on his cousin's couch, living out of his car. So I was like, well, no wonder. No, not the vendor. The one that was like, yes! He was very excited. He's like, yes.
Dating going homeless is hard. I've done it.
I've rented out. Well, let me not tell my story. I'm gonna go there. I'll tell you that offline. Yeah, it could be extremely, extremely tough being homeless. Yeah. Well. Good times.
Crazy enough, I got way more play when I was homeless than I did when I was gainfully employed.
Why do you think that is? Or did they not know you were homeless?
Oh, I didn't go around talking about how I was homeless. Like,
How did you? Well, I'm sure you had a car at that time. I said, sure. So how did you coordinate with the?
I had somewhere to sleep, but they would come through. Where I was.
I have so many.
Or they drove. Like, well, I was in a relationship when it first happened, and then we broke up.
Oh, okay.
It was,
And they never asked, like they never had questions or.
Some did, some don't. But like, when you're honest, it's like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Some are like, well, let's just stay here. Alright.
Yes.
I'm going through enough. So it just all depends. And sometimes it's like, I've just never been someone to fake. No, I'm lying. I did years ago, but once I got out of that, it's just way more fun to be free, being who you are, and unapologetically so. And I don't allow people to put me in boxes and tell me what I'm supposed to say, how I'm supposed to behave. I'm subscribed to those narratives. I do.
It's freedom. It's literally. I think I did a post today about that. When you're unapologetic, you're not an asshole, but you're you. And if people don't like it, you find a new group that will. And it is. It's just so freeing. You don't have to live in a box. You just.
Yeah, and I think just a lot of times people's perception of you typically has more to do with them than it does you. And because their assessment or opinion of you is usually juxtaposed to their comfort with themselves.
So true.
You know.
There was a
so
woman. No, go ahead.
I know a lot of people who would love to speak their mind. I speak my mind, you know. I don't do it as often as I used to. I'll wait for my moments. When there was a time when I would do it unsolicited, you know. But I'm direct. I'm unapologetic. I'm no holds barred. That's who I am.
No holds Barzini.
Yeah, and I love me. You know what I mean. And I feel like confidence is taboo. We tell people, it's like I find it funny how we'll tell people who are self-deprecating, don't say that about yourself. You're awesome. You're great. You know, they'll take all these things to say these affirmations, and then when you start to say them and believe them, they're like, ugh, you arrogant. I'm like, so
let someone else tell you.
You get to say great things about me, but I don't get to say it about myself. When the reality is, no one ever told me that I was great until I believed it first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But maybe it's a matter of saying it. Like, because I raised my daughter, like, I'll tell her all day, you are so beautiful. And I said it so much, she's like, I'm beautiful. But she would say it like, not like she's affirming herself. She was like telling other people. And I was like, yeah, I kind of said. So I wonder if sometimes that's just kind of like a social thing. If you're just like, I'm so smart, as opposed to just thinking.
There's worse problems to have because the alternative is to not have confidence in yourself.
That's true. You wouldn't want to go the other.
Exactly, and I've been on the other end of that.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess if you know it, sometimes you don't have to say it, but you do. You exude it. And I was going to say when you were talking about sometimes it's a reflection of the other person more so. There's this show, The Real Housewives. There's a one in Salt Lake City. And there are two women who are really thin, very petite, and extremely confident. Like, you can't tell them anything. And there's another woman, and ever since the beginning, she has had an issue with the ladies, and she keeps accusing them of putting themselves on a pedestal. And the irony is that I think in her mind, she's put them on a pedestal. So because she has that subconscious thought, everything they do falls into that narrative. Oh, yep, so you didn't give me a hug because you think you're better than me. When the lady's like, I didn't even see you, you know? And I think we definitely do that. We interject what we have going on, our issues, you know.
Right, yeah, projection, and it happens, you know what I mean? I get it. But that's why I don't personalize it, you know.
It makes it
like,
seamless, yeah.
You can't always adjust to fit someone's or accommodate someone else's narrative. And people want you to do that. I was dealing with that today. I deal with that at work.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like being confident and comfortable with who you are is definitely freedom, but with freedom comes certain responsibilities and drawbacks.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to accept all of that.
In being comfortable, you have to accept the fact that some people are going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, and I love making people uncomfortable.
I know.
It's part of who I am. But I think that being uncomfortable, there's a power in it. Because growth doesn't come in comfort. You know what I mean? It doesn't come without challenge. So I challenge narratives. I'm not someone who allows someone to just push a narrative as if, and especially a cliche, without thought, because the average person does not know why they believe what they believe.
Yeah, they're just regurgitating it.
Right. And so I always push the narrative. Why? So when someone says they want someone to pursue, they want a man to pursue, why? Because I feel like a man should lead. How is that leading? Because if the majority of relationships break up, right? If the majority of marriages end up in divorce, but also the majority of marriages began with the man pursuing, then a man pursuing does not guarantee success. There is no quantifiable data that says men who pursue are going to have more successful relationships. Just say it's something you like, because that's really what it is. There is no precedence that say men are supposed to pursue, not biblical or otherwise. You know what I mean? Someone came up with the narrative, everyone agreed, especially women, because it fits a narrative, right? Just like someone came up with that narrative that men's supposed to pay the bills, right? Well, no, actually, no one came up with that narrative. That was
Back in the
years
day,
ago,
women couldn't.
right?
Yeah,
But we don't explore. We turn it into a convenient narrative, but we often ignore why that was, because women were oppressed. They weren't allowed to be educated. They weren't allowed to work. When they did work, they weren't paid the same wages. So men were forced to carry the brunt of the load. So it wasn't that men wanted to, and it was like, well, I'm the man. So it's like, hey, no, I'm a man. This is the situation we're in, so I'm going to step up and do this. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what I have to do. But that was a different choice. It wasn't, oh, this is how it's supposed to be because I'm a man. No. You see what I'm saying? And women definitely, because watch this. If the traditional, quote unquote, traditional way were the desirable way, then why was it those women taught their daughters to be independent? If that's how it was supposed to be, if that's the natural order, then why were their daughters taught to be independent?
I would say, to play devil's advocate, I think that women do that because they know that the system is so messed up. So they're giving the daughter that life vest, so they're not stuck out in the ocean flailing.
But when it's convenient, when they say, "Oh, the man's supposed to pay you,"
Now I will say that there is somebody used the term selective independence. Selectively. So, but I think it goes to what you're saying though, where it's like if it is supposed to be this way, it is supposed to be this way. But in case he doesn't, have your stuff together.
Well, no, the narrative is don't depend on him. You can't depend on a man. Do it yourself. But if you're supposed to play this role, right? Because now it is convenient independence. Because notice this, when we're talking gender roles, shared gender roles are only referring to women's gender roles, not men's, right?
You're not gonna get an argument from me on that one.
So, but that's what I'm saying. And so, like, I for example, we were at work and there was this meme that said, "Oh, these are 4 things that women should never have to touch," and it was some bills, a door, a gas pump, and a trash can, and some trash, right? Oh, I was like, okay, cool, bet. Now name me 4 things a man should never have to touch.
Oh, can we put that up to the viewers? What are 4 things? Let's see if anybody watching this video can come up with 4 things. Okay, I know. Wait, 4 things a man should never touch? Another man. I'm just kidding. I know it's not what you meant.
I would hope.
Let's see. Her makeup. No, but I get what you're saying. You're saying it as a luxury, like she's done it for him. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, because the traditional ones. And that's the thing. I did a video and it went viral, like, I think last year. And I posted it on Instagram as well. But I was talking about how a lot of times women will have selective tradition. So when it comes to what they receive, they want the man to take the traditional role. But when it comes to what they give, they want to take the modern role. And I was saying that the reason why I think it worked with my parents, or works, they're going to be going on 50 years in a couple of years of marriage, is that my dad was the provider and my mom was the caretaker. She took care of the home and she took care of my dad, and it was like she did everything to make sure he was good, and then he did everything to make sure that the house was good. So it was this symbiotic relationship. And so I realized that I wanted the traditional man, but I was like, don't look at me for tradition. And I think a lot of people do that without realizing it. And so that's one of the things that I want to impress upon people is just be aware of what's going on. Because if you like tradition, that's fine, but then also be traditional. And if you like modern, that's fine, but also be modern.
All senses of the designation, not just the ones that conveniently suit.
So I'm double dutch in and out. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. On both sides, and I'm not saying any of the things that I'm saying with the thought that men don't have their flaws and drawbacks, and
that's a different episode.
Confusion and double standards. We absolutely do. There's so many things that we do. I have done. Yeah, and I'm open and transparent with those things. I've manipulated women. I've lied. I've been the cheated on, cheated with.
I like that. Cheated on, cheated with. Well, I wanna say this before we close out. I'm shocked that you're able to, I would say, go this long with since I'm right. This late into the evening. Go this late into the evening, considering you're in Central Standard Time. So for you, it is almost 11 o'clock. So thank you for that. But I do want to give you the opportunity at the end of this time to share with the users where they can find more about you, and then also go into what they can get or what they can look forward to getting when it comes to your content. So just go ahead and.
You're gonna get a whole lot of what you just heard. I am one of the hosts of the Crossroads podcast, and you can find us out at the Crossroads on IG. Crossroads is spelled Xrossroadz. So you spell it the regular way, just change the first and the last letter with an X and a Z. You can find my personal page at Barzini Speaks. That's Barzini Speaks. And the content, the Crossroads podcast is about intersectionality between men and women, where, just much like our conversation that we had tonight, it's a whole lot of this, a meeting of the minds and crossing those intersections and connecting the dots of where we can miss each other and just get understanding of one another. Sometimes we just talk shit and we have a great time doing it. So it's fun. It's one of me and one of my best friends. We've been friends for 20 years. So the narrative is our target is mostly women, but I'm the guy best friend every woman should have, right? Because I'm gonna give you the truth and answer all the questions. Just coming up, I have another book that's in production right now. My first book you can still get on Amazon. It's called Hello Me, Nice to Meet You.
And I'll put the link in the description if you remind me.
And then my second book coming down the pipeline later this year is called Champion Traits. So my passion is training and development. That's my purpose. Specializing in self-discovery. So it's your pursuit of purpose and recognizing yourself to come to a high level of self-awareness is where I specialize in just creating power in people to become their best selves, because I've always said that I want to affect and infect the world and everybody that I come in contact with. You don't meet me, I happen to you, and that it's an experience. So, well, I can say with confidence that meeting me is not a forgettable experience.
I'm still laughing. You're Jason.
I am. So, and it's about allowing people to be unapologetic, and I just want to see people be their true, authentic, unapologetic self, and just understand their power, and understand that power is the ability to make or influence change. And I always wanted to be so powerful that I changed the kind of room when I walk in, and so that my words touch people, that my work changes lives, and that's what I set out to do. And so, while it's hard to accept in the moment that something I say will resonate, that I plant seeds and one day that they'll grow and blossom. And I'm seeing, stuff manifest in you with those experiences, and I'm hoping some of those seeds are the ones that blossom.
I'm just stupid.
Yeah.
No,
so
you're good.
That's in a nutshell.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, just remind me. I thought about putting my my handle because you gave me that idea last time, so I put mine in there. But we'll put the links. You can actually click on in the description. If you're watching it live, you're gonna have to just type it out or look in the comments. But if you're watching this on the replay, we'll have that in the description. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching. I really appreciate you guys. I am actually, those who are in my Facebook group know that I'm striving to get into the YouTube Partner Program. It is no joke. You're on that same path coming up soon. But I am so close to the requirements. So I appreciate every single one of you who has watched the videos, because each person who watches puts me that much closer to hitting my goals. And all of you who subscribed, I appreciate that. I have to hit 1,000 for subscribers. So those of you who subscribed today, thank you so much. I have 2 more months to do it. So I'm like, but I'm going to put it in the atmosphere that I'm going to make my deadline. But I do appreciate you guys so much. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Oh, and if you guys haven't subscribed already, please hit subscribe. If you haven't hit like, please hit like. And if you really, really, really want to be awesome, please share this video. You can share it on your Facebook. It's kind of hard to share it on Instagram. You can at least do a screenshot and put it in your story. Any little thing that you do is a really big deal. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm at 8. I think I'm at 8:30. I was at 8:30 earlier today, so I'm really excited about that. When you're on your first subscriber, you're like, oh my God, I'll never get to 1,000. So to know that 800 plus people rock with me is really, really, really cool. So, and I want to thank you, Jason, for your time being here. I know you have a ton of stuff with your day job and then all your other stuff that you've done. You've always been a super creative. I do remember at your house, you always had your cards on the wall and things that you wanted to do. So this isn't something that he just stumbled upon. He's been working on this for a while. And I appreciate your podcast partner who's been engaged and listening. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to ask you a favor because you know at the top of the hour I had all those issues with my camera and I have literally all the way in my office my control panel. So I'm going to put your lovely face on the screen while I transition to the closeout for the, it's called the end screen, which I'm sure you know about. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then anybody wants to slide in your DM? No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going to say my formal goodbye and thank you, and we'll just end on your face, okay? So you could see it on your YouTube here. All right, let's see. This is a first. You're so nice to go with the flow. All right. Since my daughter left me, she left me at the helm. Yeah, I gotta come over and do this on my own, but it's okay. I didn't ask you, so it's okay. All right, so here we go.